All right. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Cool Beans Hot Stuff. Today is another episode of Newsweek Wednesdays. And what we do today is I just pick a topic, something that I want to know more about, that I don't know anything about in the news, and I learn about it. We read about it, watch some YouTubers, get their opinions of it, get any politicians or anybody who's talking about it in that sphere, get their opinions on it, and just try to learn what exactly is happening. So today we're going to jump into it here pretty quickly because we got a lot to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about the censorship that is happening in the video game industry. And there's censorship happening all over the fucking world right now. It seems like every time I throw up my X feed or my YouTube feed, somebody is talking about somebody else getting the shit censored out of them for some fucking reason. So, I couldn't even do one single 2-3 hour stream on all of it. So we're just going to focus on this one little bit right here, the censorship that's happening in video games. Okay. And I'm going to give you a super quick rundown of what I know about it, which isn't much, and that doesn't change the fact that I've been very loud about it on X. If you follow my channel, I've been posting about it 4 or 5 times a day. But we're going to run down what I know. And then we're going to read about it. We're going to go to some other people who have made some videos about it and written some articles about it who know a little bit more about the situation. And we're going to get some different takes, different opinions, and try to figure out what exactly is happening with video games and payment processors and all these fuckers who are deciding what you, me, or other people can't play as far as our video games go. And so, full disclosure, I don't play video games. I haven't played a video game in shitballs, man, probably 10, 15 years, something like that. I'm just not that much of a gamer. I do other things, man. I got other interests, things I'm entertained with, but video games was just one of those things I did growing up and then put it away and just never got back into it. You know what I'm saying? But I have a lot of friends who love playing video games. Video games are dope. I'm almost a little bit, what's the word? Overwhelmed, right? By video games. Like they're a little bit, what's the word that I'm looking for here? They are, well, it's a lot, man. It's like you buy one fucking video game nowadays, and it's like so much shit, And there's just so much that goes into a video game now. Back when I played video games, it was like fucking Frogger. Okay, move this frog from point A to point B and don't die, and that was awesome. Nowadays it's intense, man. It's overwhelming. So I never got back into it, but I have a lot of friends that do, and regardless of whether I play video games or not, I do have a very vested interest in freedom of speech and freedom of artistic expression. So that's why this issue specifically means something to me, why I'm very interested in it. And so what the quick rundown is for everybody who's out there watching, whether you're on Rumble, Kick, Twitch, X, I think that covers it. That's where I'm live streaming nowadays. If you're on YouTube watching this and it's a video, if you enjoy the content, then please like, subscribe, follow, whatever you do on whichever social media you're on. And if not, then, you can, I don't know, go in the comment section, tell me to fuck off or something. But anyway, so quick rundown of what I know about this situation, right? So what I know of is an activist group in Australia named Collective Shout that is supposedly an anti-porn feminist activist group, or that's what they call themselves, okay? That's why I'm saying supposedly. And they're taking credit for having harassed, and I will just say harassed, but for having contacted, I guess, payment processors like Mastercard, the big Mastercard, Visa, and PayPal, and bitching to them about some games that were being offered on Stream, itch.io, and maybe Valve. There could have been some other ones. Again, I'm not a gamer, so y'all are going to have to throw down in the comments if there's more than those 3. Yeah, okay. And essentially, these payment processors came in and told these gaming platforms, you're not allowed to offer these games. And this was all done under the guise of getting rid of quote unquote rape simulation games, right? Which I didn't know that was a thing, right? When I say video games are over my head. I read that and I was like, Jesus, that's a fucking thing. Well, hey, whatever. It's a fucking thing. The thing is, look, if you want to go be a fucking weirdo and play your little fucking rape simulator game or whatever, I really don't give a shit if you want to do it in your spare time. I really don't care. I'm going to judge you. You're fucking weird, bro. You're a fucking weirdo. Okay. I'm just going to throw it out there. If you need to play a rape simulator game, you're a fucking weirdo. But it's legal. It's perfectly legal. Okay. As long as nobody is actually getting raped. Can I say rape? I feel like that's a thing now. I see everybody like censoring themselves on social media over that. I feel like I'm a small enough creator. Nobody knows who the fuck I am, so nobody really cares if I say these no words, you know? I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. But anyways, yeah, as long as nobody is getting actually raped, then I really don't give a shit. That's what I care about. As long as you're not out there doing that thing, or the video game itself doesn't include, actual video footage of something like that, then I don't give a shit, right? I really don't care. It's your weird thing. You do you, bro. All right. I'm into some weird shit too. I don't know if I'm into anything that weird, but I'm into some shit that people would probably be like, yeah, that's pretty fucking weird. You're a weirdo, so it happens. It's whatever. You can be a weirdo so long as you're not hurting anybody else, right? But the thing is they didn't just censor those games, which again, I want to be cool with that. Fuck that shit. I'm not cool with that. Are rape games cool? No, that's fucking weird. But am I cool with you deciding that everybody else in the world doesn't get to play them? No, absolutely not. I don't give a shit if it offends you. I don't give a shit if that hurts your fucking feelies. It doesn't mean, no, you don't get to tell other adults what kind of legal content they get to enjoy. And this is a video game. These are fictional characters. This is legal content. Doesn't matter if you think it's disgusting or not. It really doesn't. So you just don't get to tell other people that they don't get to do it. You can make fun of them. You can say, hey, bro, you're a weird-ass motherfucker, dude. You need to go play in your fucking rape simulator. You need to go out and get, like, a therapist or some shit. You can say that. You can drag them all day on social media. I'll join you. I'll laugh at them. I'll think it's funny. But you don't get to tell them that they don't get to do this, right? So that's what's happening. The payment processors, supposedly, and we're saying supposedly just until we do the rating to kind of solidify that this is what's happening, but these payment processors have forced these gaming platforms to remove this content. And with it came a whole lot of other content. Okay, now there's been horror games. See, this is the thing with censorship. It doesn't just fucking stop there. Okay, it doesn't stop where you think it ought to. Okay, you want to censor the rape simulators. Okay, and Joe Bob over here wants to censor, I don't know, the lolly content, okay? And then Billy Bob over here wants to censor, I don't know, his fucking animal sim shit, okay? But then Jeff Bob over here decides, well, I want to censor anything with same-sex marriage. And then this fucking guy over here decides, well, I think we should censor anything that shows any nudity whatsoever, And then fuckwad over here says, well, if we're getting rid of nudity, then we might as well get rid of violence. You see, it just never fucking ends. Once you've set the precedent that it's okay for us to censor stuff that is being made within the already established legal bounds of the law, then it all unravels, right? And then the next dickhead who gets into your boots, your seat, has something else that he wants to censor. And then this guy and that guy and the other fucking guy. Everybody just wants to start censoring everything that they disagree with now. And eventually, one of those motherfuckers is going to censor some shit that you agree with, that you play, okay? And in this case, it went all the way to horror games. Now, there's fucking horror games that got censored off of these platforms, okay? And we're going to read about it. You don't have to take my word for it. Let's look into it and see what some smarter people than myself have to say about it. So, let's hop in. Okay, so, I didn't have it pulled up. I had that great little segue, and it meant nothing. Okay, let me move my camera over. Meow. All right, so let's start here with CBC, whatever that is. I'm forgetting. It's CBC Radio. Here we go. Okay, how an anti-porn lobby on payment processors censored thousands of video games. Okay, we're going to read this quick little article right here. We got a few articles we're going to read through, and then I'm going to introduce you to some people. If this concerns you, if this is something that you're like, ooh, I don't know if I like this shit, I'm going to show you some people you can follow on X who are doing a really good job of keeping other people updated on what's happening with the situation. And then we're going to watch a couple different YouTubers talk about this situation. They're going to add in their information that they know. And then I'm going to give you some places you can go and some ideas for how, if you're a gamer or you're a free speech advocate, if you're in the same place that I'm at, where you don't play video games, you don't play your rape video games or whatever, you just think this shit is bullshit, then I'm going to give you some places you can go where you can have your voice be heard and maybe make a difference and fight against this bullshit. Okay? So, how an anti-porn lobby on payment processors censored thousands of video games. I didn't realize it was thousands, but already, that's a shit ton of video games. Okay, video game developers are speaking out after two popular PC game stores made it harder, even impossible, to purchase thousands of video games and other digital artworks as a result of pressure exerted by an Australian anti-porn advocacy group. That was that Collective Shout. Oh, there it says right here. The takedown came after Collective Shout successfully lobbied payment networks and processors to stop facilitating financial transactions from storefronts, Steam, and itch.io until games with certain content were removed. So lobbied, that's the proper word, is lobbied, not harassed, okay? I did it all in air quotes, so But developers say the range of affected works goes well beyond games with explicit sex scenes. Also caught in the sweep are a teen-rated romantic comedy game, some LGBTQ themed games. I don't know about the whole thingy jiggerbob here, but LGBTQ games by award-winning developer Robert Yang, and a 1920s alternate history art book that has no sexual content whatsoever. Okay, so what did I tell you? So we're doing past horror games now. I told you, your LGBTQ games are getting censored now. I fucking told you. This is incredibly wrong, said Adrian Bazier, a Toronto-based game developer and artist who makes LGBTQ games. Even just queer people holding hands is seen as not safe for work. CBC spoke to over a dozen Canadian game developers, creators, and industry watchers who say the situation highlights the power held by international financial institutions in determining what kinds of art is deemed acceptable for others to consume and frequently forces LGBTQ content and narrative into the darkness. So what has happened so far? In July, Collective Shout published an open letter saying Steam and itch.io hosted games with rape, incest, and child sexual abuse content. Okay, and most of us can agree that's fucking weird. Okay, that's not good stuff. Absolutely. Again, this is video games. Okay, we're not talking about actual child porn here. All right, because if we did, then yeah, totally. Fucking A, get that shit out of there. Don't get it off the store. Arrest the people who made it. But that's not what we're talking about. Okay. About a week later, Steam removed hundreds of games with adult or sexual content from sale. Steam, the world's largest forefront and management platform for PC games, with a reported 132 million active monthly users, said in a statement that certain games on Steam may violate the rules and standards set forth by our payment processors and the related card networks and banks. So, payment processors include credit card companies like Visa and Mastercard and other companies that can facilitate purchases like PayPal and Stripe. Those games were removed from sale to ensure customers could purchase other titles and game content. The statement added, oh, well, that's so nice of them to ensure that we could purchase other content, just not that content. On July 28th, Itch, a relatively small player, de-indexed all games and other works on its site with the NSFW, not safe for work tag. That means you can't find those works on the site unless you know the exact name of the creator or game. According to GameFile reporter Nicole Carpenter, searching the NSFW tag on Itch before July 28th brought roughly over 7,000 results. Today, it surfaces 5 or fewer. Itch's creator, Leif Corcoran said the site staff is conducting a comprehensive audit of content to ensure we can meet the requirements of our payment processors. He later said Itch is seeking other payment processors that are willing to work with the platform hosting adult content. Yeah, it is important to say here that it isn't just the Collective Shout nut jobs in Australia who decided that they have control over the rest of the world and what the rest of us get to watch and see and what kind of video games you get to play. It's the payment processors are really the ones that threw down the gauntlet and said, okay, yeah, well, we're going to go right ahead and we're going to make sure this happens. Okay. And we're going to get into it in a little bit. Everybody is backing away from this and pretending like it wasn't them, right? Which should be your first sign that whoever's doing it, it's not good. Okay, if Collective Shout was so fucking excited about doing this, then they would put the fucking ground the flag in the ground and say, yeah, we did this and we're fucking proud of ourselves. Fuck you. And that's not what they did. Okay, we're gonna watch a couple videos about it and we're gonna read into that, but that's not what they did. Okay, same thing with Mastercard. We got another article over here. Mastercard says it wasn't behind the NSW video game censorship, but Valve tells a different story. And I believe it was also itch.io told a different story as well. So even Mastercard is stepping away and pretending like they didn't have anything to do with this. It was somebody else, right? When you have people doing that, then what just happened? They know it's not good. They know that this wasn't, again, when you're doing something that you're proud of because you think it was the right thing to do, right? You're acting with integrity, then you step up and you say, yeah, I did that fucking thing. I don't give a fuck if the rest of you like it or not. I did it because I thought it was the right thing to do. Yeah. But nobody's doing that. Isn't that interesting? You could say maybe it's because they don't have integrity. We are talking about a corporation here for one thing. So yeah, integrity down the poop hole anyways. But you could also say it's because they know that what they're doing is wrong, right? That's a very big possibility too. It's probably a combination of both. If I had to guess, just throw a wild guess out there, it's probably a combination of both. But let's keep going. Late Thursday, Corcoran, whatever the guy's name is, Corcoran said itch would be re-indexing all free adult content on the site while working on reintroducing paid content slowly to support as many creators as possible. CBC reached out to several payment processors for comment. In a statement, Stripe said, "We do not support adult content." Just flat ass. Okay, well, see, there you go. At least they popped in and said, fuck all y'all. We're not going to let you use our payment processor to buy your porn. Okay, I still, say fuck them. But at least they have the balls to stand behind what they say, right? What they did. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I should leave the lemon head for later when I'm not talking. Yeah, so at least they had the balls to stand behind what they did. PayPal replied that it will take action on anything that violates the law, our policies, or the policies of our partner banks and card networks, okay? Which is a sleazy way of saying, yeah, we did it. Mastercard on Friday told CBC it has not evaluated any game or required restrictions of any activity on game creator sites and platforms, and that its payment network allows all lawful purchases. Okay, well, we'll get into that and we'll just see, Mastercard. At the same time, we require merchants to have appropriate controls to ensure Mastercard cards cannot be used for unlawful purchases, including illegal adult content. There it is. Okay, well, that didn't take long for that shit to pop out, right? Illegal adult content, though. Just note that. Illegal adult content. Okay. Risky business. Collective Shout is an advocacy group that describes itself as a movement against the objectification of women and the sexualization of girls. Its director, Melinda Tankard-Riest, told CBC that her group reached out to payment processors after receiving no reply to about 3,000 emails sent to Valve Corporation, which owns Steam. Oh, I didn't know that. Valve owns Steam. Okay, so there you go. Fuck me, right? This is what we're doing, though. We're learning about the situation, okay? I mean, I have my thoughts already. Usually when I come in for Newsweek Wednesdays, I have no idea what the fuck we're talking about, and I'm just reading about it and learning about it. I already kind of have my thoughts, I have my own opinion on what's happening here. And if you can't tell, I'm pretty opinionated about it. But we're still learning about the whole thing, right? So we're reading about it, all right? So fucking sue me. Tankard said the group was not seeking to have itch de-index all its NSFW gaming content. However, developers, artists, and other supporters say the campaign has affected works with sexual content that don't cross the line into abusive or illegal behavior. Their statement doesn't ring true for Jean Ketterling, a University of Saskatchewan assistant professor who specializes in the study of sex in video games. This is a tried and true playbook. It has the effect of shrinking the space available for diverse sexual experiences, Ketterling said. Ketterling pointed to a long history of anti-porn or anti-sex work organizations campaigning against content they deemed to be obscene, immoral, or illegal. Similar recent cases involve lobbyists targeting payment processors for OnlyFans and Pornhub. Give me a second. Which is interesting because I believe, and we're going to look into it, we have a few people that have been really keeping up with Collective Shout specifically on their ass. And according to them, Collective Shout doesn't have shit to say about OnlyFans and Pornhub. No, no, no. They're just upset about the video games that portray sexual content, not the actual wholesale of sexual content. Which, again, hey, look, you're on OnlyFans doing your thing. Okay, do your thing. I really don't give a fuck. Again, like, as long as you're not doing it with kids, or or animals, you're not fucking your dog, or you're not doing it, non-consensually with you're not videotaping people non-consensually. As long as you're not pulling some shit like that, then I don't give a fuck. You do your thing. Do whatever weird shit makes you money. Sell your shit to all the gooners out there. I really don't care. But, you know, I do. I do. If somebody comes and tries to censor that, I do care. And it ain't because I'm a little fucking porn brain gooner myself, all right? It's because this is freedom of speech and freedom of expression. It is. And so is are these video games. So are these video games. Freedom of expression. And that's what I give a fuck about. Okay? Because first they come for you, and then they come for me, all right? First they come for all you ladies out there sticking the cucumbers up your butts or whatever the fuck you're doing on your OnlyFans shit, and then they get rid of you, and I think, well, I don't care because I'm not a girl sticking a cucumber up my butt for money on OnlyFans, so what the fuck do I care? Okay, but goes down the line, and eventually it gets to fucking little Tony watching his fucking horror movies and doing his shit, and now my shit's all fucked up, so you gotta stop it immediately when it happens. Like, nope, you know what, I may not think that's a good way to spend your time. That's not a good, life decision to throw your ass on OnlyFans and put vegetables up it. But you do you. It's legal, and I got to fight for that to be able. That needs to be a thing because every little right that erodes is eventually going to get to me. See what I'm saying? We're seeing a lot of LGBTQ content come up. We're seeing a lot of stuff that's not even pornographic, but that is just exploring sexual violence or exploring the trans experience, she said. Val Weber, a postdoctoral researcher at the Sexual Health and Gender Research Lab, named SHAG, at Halifax Dalhousie University, I don't know where that is. I like the SHAG acronym, though, says high-risk categories for payment processors typically include items believed to have a greater potential for fraud or potentially illegal content, such as adult content, firearms, gambling, and some medication, than other kinds of transactions. But the processor's terms of service aren't always clear. Yeah, this is a big issue that I've read thus far with this, is the processor's terms are very, very vaguely worded. Again, we'll get into this, but the way that they word, Mastercard, Visa, PayPal, the way they word what's okay and not okay is very vague. And if we have time, we'll just go to their websites. We'll try to look up their TOSs. I'm sure we can just Google that shit and find out how they word it. But every example that I've seen, it's super duper vague, right? Where it just gives them the ability to censor whatever the fuck they want. They can call anything lewd or offensive and then censor it whenever the fuck they feel like. Okay. And you can say what you will about private companies. I understand that there's a lot of mixed emotions about that, where it's like, well, these are private companies. They can do whatever the fuck they want. It's not up to you to tell a private company that they can't allow this or they can't allow that on their platform or whatever. Like, as a private company, they get to decide. It's like, yeah, okay, sure, fair enough. But when you got every single private company that handles payment processing do that, and what they're doing is forcing other companies to not allow this, then I think we have a problem. We have a situation here. Now we're at a point where it's like, you know what? We need to have a conversation about that now too. I think at this point, you're overstepping your bounds, right? This is no longer you deciding what you will work with. Now you're deciding what everybody else can work with. You see what I'm saying? So, okay. They're effectively in charge of creating de facto obscenity laws without ever naming specific sexual acts or fantasies or content that is, in fact, not allowed on their platforms. And that is a problem. That's why that vagueness in their TOS is a fucking problem. It's not just one that they have no right to create obscenity laws. You, as a private company, don't have any right to do that for any other country. Governments do. And governments do that at the behest of their people, ideally. Okay. That's who has the power to do it, but they have the power to do it because the people give them the power to do it, okay? They're elected officials who do it. You are not, okay? You do not get to make these laws. But not only that, your laws are so nebulous and undefined that virtually anything that anybody does could be thrown in there depending on who's deciding what is lewd or obscene, yeah? And that's no good. Several Canadian developers and artists are frustrated that an Australian lobby group and US-based payment processors have impacted their income. What we have is a situation where American financial institutions are able to do de facto censorship on a global scale against content that isn't illegal. And I know I'm breaking off into my own bullshit a lot. Okay, but yeah, I'm going to do that. It is my stream, so, that's going to happen. Here's the thing. It's like, yeah, like, again, like I was saying, these financial institutions, these payment processors have the right to say what they will and won't work with. Okay, but these payment processors also put themselves in a situation where they're some of the biggest financial institutions across the globe, in the world. Okay, you amass a certain amount of power. You want to amass a certain amount of power because you want to make a fuck ton of money. Well, now we're at a different level. Okay, now you're playing shit on a different level. It's a different playing field. Now the conversation needs to be had about how much do you actually get to say about what everybody else is doing and how they're using your credit cards, right? And the conversation that needs to be had now, because you fuckers weren't okay with being the biggest payment processor in America. You weren't okay with being the biggest payment processor on the continent, or on 2 continents, or on 3 continents. You guys wanted to be the biggest corporations across the world. And so now when you decide to pull this bullshit, the entire world now is affected. And now we need to have a conversation. Now, maybe the conversation needs to be that you have way too much fucking power, or the conversation needs to be, if you have this much power, then regulations need to be put against you to stop you from being able, you lose the ability to say what can or can't happen with your cards. That has to be litigated in court, or not in court, by the law. The law has to come in and say, this is what your cards can be used for and can't be used for, and you no longer get to decide, because now you're stepping on the toes of governments and people, and no corporation should be allowed to do that. Plain and simple. That's just is what it is. So, hey, what's going on, Razor? Yeah, we're talking about the gaming industry. We're talking about the whole collective shout stuff that has been happening. So yeah, man, that's what we're talking about. How are you doing, man? Hope you're having a good day today. Thanks for hopping into the stream. And I believe you said you're a gamer, aren't you, Razor? I'm pretty positive you're a gamer. And so you probably know a little bit about this, but we're learning about it. So we're doing a little bit of reading and figuring out what exactly is going on. And I'm busy soapboxing with my uneducated opinion, is what was happening right now when you hopped in. But thanks for hopping in, man. And I hope you enjoy the stream, and I hope you're having a good day too at work, by the way. So, all right, where are we at? Right here. So, what we have here is a situation where American financial institutions are able to do de facto censorship on a global scale against content that isn't illegal, said Ash Kreider, an independent romance writer based in Kitchener, Waterloo, Ontario, whose works were de-indexed from Itch. This is hampering freedom of speech in our country. Exactly. Tankard said location is irrelevant. The internet has no borders. Women and girls everywhere are impacted by male violence against women and misogyny in general, which we believed these games perpetuated. And we'll get into that as well. Her claims about the how much she seems to give a shit about violence against women and misogyny, because she has some shit that she's done herself. The industry giants have become the purveyors of polluting ideas and force-feeding them into our consciousness. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What do you mean by industry giants? You mean like Visa, Mastercard, all these people? I mean, to be honest, like, yeah, like even like media, like big media corporations, same thing, where these corporations have so much fucking power that they're kind of deciding what the rest of us get to do at this point. Or at least that's what's happening with MasterCard and Visa. And it's a big deal. It's a bummer. Yeah, absolutely, man. They, purveyors of polluting ideas. I can go with that, I guess. Very poetic way to put it. You mean in the gaming industry specifically? Like the people who make the video games? They're force-feeding ideas into your consciousness? I don't think they're force feeding anything in your brain. I mean, I don't play video games. So when somebody makes a video game that has something bad in it, it's not force fed into my brain. You know what I mean? You don't have to play the video game. So I don't think anybody who's making a video game is force feeding anything to anybody else. They're making a product that you can elect to buy or not buy. You see what I'm saying? So I think that there's a lot of video game manufacturers that could be making some really disgusting stuff, but they're not force feeding those ideas into anybody. I think that they're giving you the option to buy it if you want. And look, if you want to be like, not you specifically, because I don't think you would want to, but if some other guy out there wants to purchase a game that's like a rape simulator, then he can do that. Like, it's weird, it's gross, but the thing is, it's not being force fed to him. He's deciding to be a weird, gross motherfucker, right? That's his issue, okay? But it isn't force fed into the collective consciousness of people. You know what I mean? See what I'm saying there? So I think what's more terrifying is Mastercard and Visa deciding on behalf of everybody what content you don't get to see. Deciding, oh, that is force feeding, because they're just putting up the boundaries and saying you don't get to play these games that we say are bad. And so far, some of the games that they've chosen are like horror games. It's just a scary game. And they decided, oh, this scary game is too much, and I don't want people to play it. And so now they get to decide that. And that, to me, is way more dangerous. That's, to me, is like where I draw the line, where that seems like a mega corporation, a conglomerate, deciding on behalf of all of us what we get to do morally. And if a government decides what's legal, if the government of a country decides, okay, we're not going to allow these kinds of games into our country. If the Saudi Arabian government decides we don't want rape games in our country because the people elected the government, or whatever the situation is, the people decided, yeah, we don't want that, then the government 100% gets to decide that. That's what a governing body does. They govern. That's government. Right? But major corporations do not. Corporations in America should have no say on what kind of games get sold to people in Saudi Arabia, right? And an advocacy group in Australia should have no say what kind of games get sold to people in America. That should be reserved specifically for the Saudi Arabian, American, and Australian governments to decide at the behest of their people, because that's what the people hired them to do, is govern what is allowed in our society, not MasterCard or Visa or Collective Shout, the advocacy group. They're not allowed. Those who don't accept this idea become hostile, even though it's the truth. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess, yeah, like I have seen a few people get pretty hostile about this whole thing. I mean, to be honest, like the Collective Shout people have gotten pretty fucking hostile too. Like, people who can't accept this idea, yeah, it pisses them off quite a bit. It does. And, the truth is, it pisses people off on both sides of the argument. Everybody is upset about this because it doesn't matter what side of the argument you're on. It evokes emotions because it is a very serious issue. And take the video game part out of it. Again, it's about who gets to decide what all other adults get to do. And that absolutely becomes a big issue for everybody involved. So everybody on both sides of the issue have a tendency to get hostile because it is an emotional issue. It is. It evokes emotion in people. So absolutely, it definitely happens. So, okay, and we're getting into the counter campaign, right? Affected developers and their supporters have started phone campaigns and petitions to pressure payment processors to reverse their actions. One site lists several email addresses and phone numbers for people to lodge their complaints with Visa, MasterCard, and other payment companies. What we know about Collective Shout is that they managed to put pressure on those payment processors with only 1,000 calls or emails. And we're like, well, there's more than 1,000 of us, so we can beat that. So that's pretty good. It doesn't tell you what site gives you those email addresses, though, which is quite a bummer. But we will look into that. So I got to mute and cough. and we will find that website. So we'll look into it. And so if you want to contact them, you sure can. And we'll talk about the proper way of contacting them, not being a dick, being mean or brutal or, saying fucked up shit. There's no reason to go around threatening people or anything like that. That's not going to get what you want. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Now, it is interesting. I do like this. I want to point out this last sentence here. What we know about Collective Shout is that they managed to put pressure on those payment processors with only 1,000 calls or emails, right? So let's hop over here for a second, because this was kind of an interesting article I found. In Gadget, Video Games Weekly, Censorship, and Stolen Puritanical Valor. So this was kind of an interesting article that, well, let's just get into it. Let's just see what you think about it, okay? Let's all agree to stop talking about the awful conservative activist group out of Australia. You know the one. Like a parasite, it attached itself to the censorship campaign that erased thousands of adult games from Steam and itch.io and successfully positioned itself at the center of the delisting narrative. However, logic and evidence suggest that this group had very little to do with the mass removals. On nasty nose noises. Okay. This Australian anti-porn organization led a movement in April to remove the edgelord simulator No Mercy from Steam. Okay, I don't know what that is. I'm assuming this is one of those rape games that they discuss, right? And since everyone agreed that the game sucked, the campaign worked and the title disappeared from the storefront. This is where I believe the organization's involvement in the current drama ends. Okay, did they say the organization? They didn't. They could stand to put that higher up in the article. They do say it down here a little bit. It seems No Mercy spurred payment processors, including Visa, Mastercard, and PayPal, to turn their attention to the PC gaming market, an irony that I would find funnier if it weren't actively eroding an industry I love. These institutions took the opportunity to dictate the types of games they would support, and in response on July 16th, Steam added a clause to its rule set banning content that may violate the rules and standards set forth by Steam's payment processors, including, quote-unquote, certain kinds of adult-only content. Censorship on Steam is not new. Valve has for years had rules banning mislabeled adult content, hate speech, anything violating local laws, and many other regulations. Okay, see, I try to mute, and then the burp comes anyway, so you're going to have to take a couple burps here. That's my bad. But, so banning, like, hate speech, for example, so, like, let's just talk about all the rest of this stuff. Banning mislabeled adult content. I'm not entirely sure what they mean by mislabeled. I don't know how that happens. I could see why, though, if you mislabeled something on their website, they would take it down and say, no, you lied virtually about the product. You're committing fraud, in a sense, about what the product is that you're trying to sell. So, no, we're not going to fuck with that, right? If you can't tell people accurately what's in your game, I can understand that, right? Hate speech, again, not so much. Where I live in America, we don't have hate speech laws yet. For some reason, there's a lot of people who think they do. I was just watching Piers Morgan the other day, and he was like, hate speech is illegal. And we're like, and the people on his show had to tell him, like, not in America, it's not, bro. Like, in Europe, yeah, y'all got that going on, but not in America. We don't have those laws, So look, if they have those laws in your country, then yeah, it's breaking the laws. I don't want those laws in my country. I want people to be able to say whatever kind of nasty shit they want to say, because how else do you know what the fuck people are thinking? You see what I'm saying? You don't know how hateful somebody is until they just come out and they say it. And it's like, oh, good, you're one of those people. Well, that's good that we know that, yeah? And then anything violating local laws or other regulations. Yeah, if you're violating laws or regulations for a specific region, then I totally understand that. That absolutely makes sense. When you don't accept ideas they promote. Yeah, well, I mean, that's with everybody, though. Everybody, when you don't accept somebody else's ideas or how they think that you should live, then yeah, a lot of people will start constituting you as the enemy. And again, though, that happens on both sides. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, as far as like promotion of transgender ideas in competitive games, or story games. There's a lot of reasons that's happening. Some of them are not, I would call, what's the word? Not honest. Some of them do come with a specific agenda. And in some cases, people are just making games for transgender people and LGBTQ people. LGBTQ people want to be able to play a game with other LGBTQ people in it, and they can have that. That's fine. In some cases, people are saying that that's what they're doing, and I think it's more of they're attempting to get other people to accept that particular way of life, and they're being dishonest about it. That happens too. Yeah, well, no, for sure. I mean, yeah, if you're promoting something that doesn't have anything to do with your story in the video game, yeah, like that, But here's the thing, though, it shouldn't be illegal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not okay with that being illegal. Somebody saying, oh, well, let's make it illegal to make a game that has a kind of person in it that I don't like. Like, no, that's crazy. I mean, I don't play video games, but if I did, I probably wouldn't play a whole lot of transgender video games. I wouldn't play LGBTQ games. I wouldn't. But I definitely wouldn't want those kinds of games made illegal. Because then somebody comes in and they say, okay, well, let's make it illegal to have this and then this and then this and then that. And then they're going to eventually make it illegal for you to have the kind of games you play. So when it comes to making products for everybody, if people want to make an LGBTQ game, then I 100% am down for it. I'm like, yeah, you can do it. I'm not going to play it, maybe. If it's a good game, then, yeah, I mean, again, I don't play games. So movies, I watch a lot of movies. And yeah, if you got a dope movie that has LGBTQ people in it or whatever, like, I'm going to fucking watch it and I'm going to love it. There was a comedy the other day that me and my girlfriend watched that had a couple gay guys in it, and it was fucking hilarious, So I'm going to watch it, if it's a good movie. Okay. But I'm not specifically looking for that. You see what I'm saying? Other people are, and those people get to have their movies. If they want to watch their movies, then let them have it, and I don't need to. I don't need to watch it. As long as it's out there for them and it's legal to make, that's all I care about. The minute somebody comes in and says, no, you can't make these kinds of movies or these kinds of video games, then that's where I draw the line and say, okay, that's not good, But I can like, look, if somebody wants to make a game that just randomly has some random ass, progressive idea, because that's ultimately what it is that you're asking about. Okay, that's the part of it that a lot of people don't want to say out loud. People are putting, say, maybe transgender people or LGBTQ aspects into a video game to promote progressive politics, is what they're essentially doing. They're promoting their progressive beliefs about the world and their progressive ideology. That's what they're doing. And yeah, I'll laugh all day long at that shit if it's stupid. If it's like random and just popped into the game and makes no fucking sense and doesn't improve the game whatsoever, yeah, it looks weird, it's corny, and I'm gonna fucking laugh at it. I'm also not gonna just laugh at it, but I'm gonna call it out and say, ooh, that's propaganda. Because I'm not playing your fucking game to have you shove your ideology into my face. That's propaganda. Okay. But they're still allowed to make it, though. That's the thing, is I can laugh at it and not play it, call it what it is. That's propaganda, but it still has to be illegal to make. You know what I mean? Just the way, well, just transgenderism would be what's being promoted there. I mean, it depends. You'd have to think of a specific example of what you're talking about, but in some cases they're promoting progressive ideology. Progressive ideology would be the answer in some cases. In other cases, they're just putting a transgender person in the video game, and they're not trying to promote anything. So it depends specifically on the game, I guess, and I guess gaming, when it comes to, if you wanted my opinion on specific games, it would be hard for me to give it to you because I haven't played a lot of those games. You know what I'm saying? Now, movies, again, I can give you much more of an opinion on. But I would say if they are trying to promote anything, it's progressive ideology is what they're attempting to promote, more than likely. So that's what I would assume. And that wouldn't be 100% of the time. I would probably be wrong in assuming that that was that 100% of the time. But at least some percentage of the time, that's what they're trying to promote. I would assume, So, but outsourcing censorship to payment processors is new. Wait, hold on. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So Steam, they've already gone through some censorship. Again, their style of censorship, or what they're censoring in this right here, if Steam wants to censor or ban games that have been mislabeled, I can understand that. You need to label your shit appropriate so people know what they're buying. Hate speech, I don't agree with. If it's a law in your country, then it is what it is. You have to obey the laws. I do not want that law in my country. I would not abide by it. I would fight for that to not be a law in my particular country. And then anything violating local laws, like, yeah, if you're making a game that breaks the law, then yeah, it is what it is, man. But outsourcing censorship to payment processors is new, and hundreds of games were removed from the platform following the rule change. On July 24th, itch.io rolled out its own changes and summarily de-indexed every adult and NSFW game it hosted, which amounted to roughly 20,000 titles being hidden from search and browse pages. 20,000 titles, man, that's a lot. The conservative Australian group claimed responsibility for the Steam bans on July 19th. Okay, so they said that they claimed responsibility, I guess. Okay, so now they do walk it back, I'm pretty sure, but let's keep reading. But yeah, so far at this point, they've claimed responsibility. Okay, 3 days after the platform's rule change went live, the organization said the censorship was the direct result of two of its recent efforts: an email campaign sent to Visa, Mastercard, PayPal, and others, claiming Steam and itch.io were hosting illegal sexual content, and an open letter addressing to the same financial institutions signed by faith-based anti-sex work and anti-queer activist groups. There is no evidence that these campaigns were directly responsible for payment processors' renewed enforcements. It's actually ludicrous to suggest that roughly 1,000 emails or an open letter would even register at companies the size of Visa, Mastercard, or PayPal. Now that's interesting. That's interesting. Because yeah, they're claiming that they did it. Now again, like, I'm pretty sure they end up walking it back. But I kind of is a good point, to be perfectly honest. I don't know what the point is they're making here quite yet. We'll keep reading to decide where this goes, so we can see where this goes. But that's not a bad point. I don't think Visa or Mastercard would give a fuck about your 1,000 emails unless they agreed with you in ideology. That's the thing. Unless they agreed with you in ideology, then I could see one email being more than enough. You see what I'm saying? So, what's more, after taking credit for the removal of hundreds of Steam games, the Australian group has attempted to distance itself from the whole shebang. There it is. Okay, they attempted to distance themselves. They need to just say the name of the fucking group is what they need to do, because it's collective shout. That's who they're talking about. I don't know why they're refusing to name them. This is an article. You need to just give us the information. This "he who shall not be named" is getting on my nerves. So, following intense scrutiny from players, industry watchdogs, and media outlets, every group in this situation is trying to avoid accountability. Like we mentioned earlier. Valve says Mastercard made this happen, while Mastercard says it's just following the law. And PayPal says it's simply doing what companies like Mastercard tell it to do. Meanwhile, the Australian group is trying to avoid blame by sweeping itch.io delistings while simultaneously attempting to exploit the Steam bans and gain momentum for its conservative bullshit. I didn't realize this was a conservative group, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know if you like, and when they say conservative, if they mean Australian conservative or American conservative. I don't know who's writing the article, if they're Australian or they're American, but I'm pretty sure those are two different things. I don't know what this group is, but conservative, religious, progressive, I really don't give a fuck what this group is. They need to fuck right off. Excuse me, my dad just texted me, and oh no. Geesh. Worms attacking the backyard. Worm infestation. Eating their grass. Shitballs. Well, that's a thing that happens, I guess. I didn't realize. Um, I don't know when you sent that, Razor. You might have sent that message late or a while ago, and I'm just now reading your comment. I'm sorry, man. Um, yeah, I don't know exactly. Like the video games, like, are the video game people missing the point? Again, you're getting into an ideological conversation about the philosophy of the people who are making the video games. And, I'm assuming that they're making video games based off of what they believe to be the most important thing. And, well, yeah, you can absolutely agree with them on that. Hands down, you should. If you don't think that the video games that they make are are tackling the correct issues, then yeah, you should absolutely disagree with them on that, but not censor them. That's 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 where I draw the line. Disagreement, whatever, but censorship is no bueno. Yeah, we are free to express our thoughts if we don't hurt anybody else, but it has become about LGBTQ having the right to express and force people to accept it, and those who don't want to become hostile. Well, again, if they become hostile, that's illegal, right? You know what I'm saying? If they want to try to force their ideas out there, then that still is, I guess it depends, because I don't know what the laws are in Saudi Arabia, you guys have completely different laws than what we have in the US. So, we might, if we end up talking about what's legal or not, we're going to end up talking past each other because we're in two completely different parts of the world. Here in America, they absolutely have a right to make whatever content they want that's LGBTQ. And it's not considered forcing people because you can just not watch it, which for the record, I do regularly do. If I watch a movie and I don't want to watch, I sit down and I'm like, you know what? I want to watch a movie with some guns and some fucking big old titties and just fucking drink my beer and have, my fucking guys movie. And then it ends up being like, an LGBTQ love story or whatever. I'm going to be like, you know what? I don't want to watch this. And I'm going to switch over to, I don't know, Arnold Schwarzenegger fucking shooting some people. You know what I'm saying? But because I have the option to do that and I don't have to actually be forced to watch it, just making the content isn't in America considered illegal to do, right? Now, if somebody were to say, if you were to go out there and tell somebody, hey, I don't accept LGBTQ people, which for the record, I do, I have plenty of LGBTQ friends. I have a lot of LGBTQ friends in my life. But, if somebody were to say that and then somebody were to beat the fuck out of them for it, that's illegal. You can't physically assault people for having a different opinion than you, even if their opinion is nasty, even if what they say is a mean thing to say, then you can't physically assault them. You know what I'm saying? So hostility, depending on what form it comes in, at least in America, is 100% illegal. Unless it's speech. Speech needs to be protected, Yeah, well, some people do. Yeah, some of them absolutely do approach it that way. That's very true. In America, a lot of us generally call that woke. It's a whole thing. We're getting into a whole nother thing, But yeah, what you are describing right now would be what a lot of people in America would constitute as woke. That if a guy like me says, "Hey, I don't want to watch an LGBTQ movie today," then an activist would pop in and say, "Oh, just because you're a fucking bigot, you're a piece of shit," blah blah. And it's like, whoa, dude, they then that right there would be like, oh, that's woke. That's woke. Being unable to accept that there's other people in the world and they just don't like the same thing that you like, that's woke. And, other people in America would disagree. That's like, you don't know what woke is. And again, this is a whole nother conversation that we're getting into, but that's what we would call that, right? And yeah, that's not cool. No, it's not. It's not cool to force your beliefs. But the same thing would go for religions here in America, right? Going up to an LGBTQ person and telling them they're going to burn in hell for it, people would frown on that too. They would look at that and say, yeah, you're a psycho. You shouldn't walk up to people and say mean and hurtful things just because they have a different lifestyle than you, right? So it happens on both sides. The majority of people that I meet in the real world don't do that. The majority of LGBTQ people I meet don't care if other people accept them or not. They shrug it off. They say, well, you don't like me, then go fuck yourself. I'm going to do my own thing. And the majority of Christians that I know in the world, they say, well, you know what? I don't particularly agree with LGBTQ stuff, but I can go do my own thing and fuck it. It's all good. And that's where, in America, that's where the majority of the public, including myself, wants the laws to sit. Is so, you guys are going to have to agree to disagree, but you're going to have to live in the world together. Neither one of you gets to wipe the other one out or shut the other one down or shut the other one out of society and shut the other one out of participating in a society, right? You can say what you want to each other. You can be mean to each other, but you can't be physically hostile to each other. And again, most normal people that I meet, LGBTQ, Christian, on both sides, neither one of them are actually that way. Most of them are actually pretty chill people that, yeah, they might disagree with that, but they're not going to take time out of their day to make another person that they disagree with feel like shit, you know? So, and that's generally where you want it. You know what I mean? Yeah, and when it comes to like the forcing people to accept, again, we would call that wokeism. But in general, that does happen on the right too. We have a whole thing in America now with like the woke right. It's a thing on the internet. Again, that's kind of a whole nother thing. But yeah, ultimately, I understand what you're saying. And yeah, nobody likes that. Nobody likes being forced to accept something that they don't want to accept. But in this case, that is directly what Mastercard and Visa are trying to do. They're trying to wipe out anything that they don't accept so nobody else can enjoy it. So that's what this is, right? And this is coming from supposedly a conservative activist group. I don't know what kind of activist group they are, conservative or otherwise, but they can go fuck themselves. This collective shout, they can. So in the most likely scenario, the Australian activist group saw these PC gaming audits coming, and in a strange act of stolen puritanical valor, took steps to center itself in the conversation. We can stop helping it to do so. Forget its name. As the IGDA suggests, direct your ire towards the organizations with power in this situation, Mastercard and Visa. Yeah, I mean, so that's why they're doing the whole thou shall not be named thing, which is bullshit. If they want to get in on it, let them have it. If Collective Shot wants to come in and throw bows, throw fucking bows. You wanted to in the conversation, you're in the conversation. Okay, this conversation is going to be a nasty conversation. So when people say something you don't like, don't get butthurt. But no, they need to be called out. And MasterCard and Visa need to be called out the most. And we'll talk a little bit later in the stream how you can go about doing that. But yeah, definitely. I agree with calling them out, but collective shout too. Still, it's notable that an organization backed by conservative Christian groups that loudly opposes sex work, queer rights, and freedom of expression was able to so cleanly align itself with financial companies censoring content on stream and itch.io. This uncontested endorsement is especially worrisome in a political and social climate where women, the queer community, people of color, and those who don't conform to traditional conservative lifestyles are under attack. Okay, well, again, I'm not entirely sure if that is correct. What is this? The news? Okay, so that's something else. It's an interesting concept. It's an interesting idea that they actually didn't have anything to do with this. I think that's not true. I think they had something to do with this. Whether it was a big something or a little something, to be honest, it doesn't really fucking matter. As long as people, again, this whole article, that's interesting. It's an interesting take, but I don't give a fuck. As long as you are directing your ire towards MasterCard and Visa, then yeah, throw collective shout in there too. Throw them in there too. And this will be the last time they ever take credit for doing some shit like this, right? Again, when we pop over here to CBR, the advocacy group that is this advocacy group, is threatening video games as we know it. So yeah, this is again about collective shout, right? And according to them, collective shout absolutely is involved, right? So this idea that collective shout has nothing to do with it and whatever, like these people, I forget whoever that wrote that last article was, but these people tend to disagree. So let's just read what they have to say about it, okay? Censorship, according to Merriam-Webster. I got a cough. Fucking shitballs. I thought I fucking blew an O-ring there. Damn. Whew. Okay. Censorship, according to Merriam-Webster, is the institution, system, or practice of censoring. In turn, censoring is the process of examining in order to suppress or delete anything considered objectionable. The later definition is broad when it comes to what is considered objectionable, which, as the definition for censorship suggests, has led to entire institutions dedicated to the practice. There is self-censorship, where creators tailor their works to wider audiences, commercial censorship, where certain places won't carry specific works, and above all, state-backed censorship, which seeks to completely bar works from being sold or exhibited in certain countries. Video games are unusually susceptible to censorship by many groups, likely due to the medium's relative recency. Certain games and series have long attracted criticism from states and advocacy groups, with the Grand Theft Auto series, which, by the way, I think Grand Theft Auto 6 is now involved in this whole fucking shit and shaboodle. I think I got a video on specifically that might pop up here. with Grand Theft Auto series being one of the most frequent targets. Recently, a group called Collective Shout has made headlines for claiming responsibility for having certain titles delisted from online services. This mirrors how some groups claim responsibility for attacks on cultural or historical landmarks. Understanding what Collective Shout is requires a closer look at its leadership and history. So let's do that. Collective Shout isn't Melinda Reist's first advocacy group. Okay, Collective Shout, headquartered in Australia, is led by Melinda Tankard Reist, or I don't know how to say her last name, who has a history of censorship-related activism prior to the group's formation. No shit. No shit. The person who likes to censor always liked to censor. You know, the thing is, if you went and found sweet little Melinda when she was 5, she was probably on that fucking playground telling on those other kids, man, Jimmy over there, he fucking said a bad word, and fucking Bobby was fucking plagued with worms, and it's gross. This is that bitch, okay? This is the tattletale. This is a little fucking crybaby. This is a teacher's pet. These people grow up this way. It doesn't ever leave their bones. This is who they are. Everybody, they need control over everybody else, okay? It doesn't matter, and I don't give a shit what sort of advocacy group you're in, okay? If it's a progressive group, conservative group, liberal group, fucking, libertarian, I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but any kind of group, right? Far right, far left, you're a fucking commie, pinko, fascist, Nazi, conglomerate, clusterfuck of a fucking group, whatever your whole fucking little deal is, these people who need to censor, regardless of their political persuasion, always needed to censor. Okay, it doesn't matter what they're censoring for. This is just like an inherent need. It's like breathing oxygen. This is their like smoking the ganj, right? This is their high, is shutting down other people, right? So I'm not surprised that she has an entire past about concerned with censoring. Understanding her role in Collective Shout also involves looking at her broader background. Reist, who has spent most of her life in Australia aside from a year of study in the United States, appeared to lead a relatively typical life, participating in the Rotary Foundation and working as a freelance writer for Australian newspapers and news articles and news networks. While Collective Shout is perhaps Melinda Tankard's most notable effort today, it is far from her first foray into activism, particularly of the institutional kind. She was the founding director of Women's Forum Australia, a firmly feminist organization with a strong pro-life stance. Okay, so that's where the whole conservative angle is kind of coming in. Founded just 3 years before Collective Shout, Women's Forum Australia can be described as a direct precursor as the two pursue different objectives. However, Reist's involvement in Women's Forum Australia clearly shaped her role in Collective Shout, largely due to the shared tone that defines both groups. Notably, Women's Forum Australia maintains a strong opposition to pornography, an issue Collective Shout also treats as central in its campaign against what it views as immoral video games. So, they don't just target video games. Collective Shout may seem like a recent arrival, but has been active for much longer and has had a quieter influence on media than many might realize. Established in 2008 by Melinda Reist, it was originally named Collective Shout for a world free of sexploitation, but that's a very that doesn't roll off the tongue. It's very long. As the original name suggests, the group had a slightly different focus in its early years. Describing itself as a grassroots organization, Collective Shout aims to eliminate what it sees as degradation toward women, particularly in the form of objectification and sexualization in the media. While these goals may appear noble, Collective Shout has pushed beyond its restricting access to pornography, raising concerns about broader underlying motives. Okay. To put it simply, if something contains even a trace of sexuality, Collective Shout often finds a reason to oppose it and push for its restriction in Australia, sometimes with real-world consequences. Among the group's early targets was the broadcast of the X League, short for Extreme Football League. Oh, shit, I know the Extreme Football League. That's where the girls in the pads and the lingerie beat the fuck out of each other on a football field. An American indoor women's football league known for featuring players in minimal clothing. Previously called the Lingerie Football League, it became a particular focus for the group, which has repeatedly spoken out against lingerie in what it sees as its role in the objectification of women. Okay, see, there you go. That's the thing, okay? That's important to point out, because Collective Shout has come out. We will look at their tweets, their X pages, what have you, and we'll see what they've been saying about it. And what they have continuously parroted is, no, we're just stopping child sex rape simulation games, right? But these people concern themselves with much, much, much more. They've came out throwing a fucking hissy fit over lingerie. Okay, lingerie. Women who are getting paid. I don't know how much they're getting paid, but I don't know if any of you ever watched Extreme Football League. It's entertaining. It is. Those women, they slam the holy fucking dog shit out of each other. They really do. Like some of them, they go fucking all out. I don't know how much money they make, but they're getting paid to go out there in lingerie and play football. Okay. And to throw a hissy fit over the lingerie aspect of that, right? Because it's sexy. Yeah, these people care much, much more than what they're saying. Oh no, we just don't want this obviously bad thing. When it gets into it, it's like, oh no, we don't want anything with sex, right? We don't want anything that has anything to do with showing some skin, right? You know what I'm saying? Outside of video games, one of Collective Shout's most notable campaigns targeted rap music, specifically Tyler, the Creator. Oh. The organization pushed for the revocation of his Australian visa based on the content of his lyrics. Tyler, the Creator? Really? Other artists they've campaigned against include Snoop Dogg and Eminem. Okay, well, those two I totally get. Yeah, those guys are from a much different era of rap music where, a lot of the, I guess it was just different style of rap. A lot of y'all Generation X or Z nowadays, excuse me, you'll have to go back and listen to some of that old 90s and early 2000s rap. It was just different stuff. But Tyler, the Creator, like, I mean, I haven't, I listened to, I think, Igor. It was a good CD, but like, what? Like, what did this guy fucking say that they needed to shut him down? Right? That's kind of crazy. I just wonder what that song was. I wish I knew what the exact lyrics were that they had a problem with him for. Okay, well, like, Eminem's got a song where he murders his ex-wife. So I understand why a feminist organization would be upset about that. Again, I don't give a fuck. No fucks given. No fucks given. If Eminem can make a million songs, and I'm pretty sure he's close to a million songs about murdering, raping, killing women. I mean, he's up there. It's a big ass number. A lot of his music is about that specific topic matter. I don't give no fucks. I really don't care. He can say what he wants. This is music, artistic expression. If y'all don't want to listen to it, then don't fucking listen to it. That's it. You know what I'm saying? That just is what it is. And this concept of no, but wait, stop because it's bad for women, prove it. Fucking prove it. Go get the scientific studies, put it in my chat, and I'll read it. Okay? But we're going to read it. And when your study ends up being bullshit, I'm going to get the other studies that prove that that isn't a fucking thing. Okay? Because it's not. All right? It just isn't. You can't predict behavior based off the kind of music a person listens to or the kind of video games they play. At least not that extreme of behavior. Okay? Just because somebody listens to Eminem doesn't mean they're going to go beat the shit out of their wife. That's not a thing, okay? There is no correlation, there is no causational relationship there that you can prove or that science has ever proved, okay? So until they do, I don't give a fuck. Snoop Dogg and Eminem can smack all the hoes and, do all the things that they want to fucking do in their music, okay? And Tyler, Tyler, the Creator, too, I guess. Although I just never heard of a song with him doing that in there. That's just why that one blows my mind. Oh shoot, man, my bad. Razor, I don't know if you're still there, but I didn't even see. Hold on, how many messages you got? There are a lot of women who refuse just because they don't want to show their body. Where were we on time when you posted that? I'm not shoot, man. I'm sorry. I don't know what that exactly is in reference to. I missed that. I got half my volume turned down on my thing. Um, so yeah, man, I'm not sure what that was in reference to. If you're still there, you're gonna have to catch me up. I'll keep an eye on the chat though, because I'm not entirely sure what exactly you were discussing there. There are a lot of women who refuse just because they don't want to show their body. I'm trying to think what they would be refusing because they don't want to show their body. In any case, I'm not sure exactly what the women are refusing, what that message was in reference to. But, yeah, nobody has to show their body. If nobody wants to show their body, then they certainly shouldn't have to. That's the issue in the first place, is that they don't want to show their body. Or maybe that's in reference to something else. Yeah, so okay, that right there. I know people who have lost their jobs in some companies because they don't want to accept these ideas. And I'm assuming you mean the LGBTQ ideas. Like that's not cool. That's Yeah, like that, firing people because they refuse to adopt your ideology is fucked. It is 100%. That's definitely fucked. Okay. I mean, that goes with LGBTQ, or that goes with Christianity. Whatever your reason is, you think, oh, people have to believe the way I believe or else they're out of a job. That's shitty. That is stupid. I agree with that. I don't like that. But I don't like that on either side of the aisle, though. And then, I'm sorry, man, I wasn't paying attention to your last two messages. These guys, oh, you can't see my cursor. These last two messages of yours, I'm not sure where you sent them. So if you're watching, resend those or just describe what exactly it was that you were referencing there, because I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that last message. So sorry about that, man. I got all worked up and focused on the article and didn't again got my volume turned down in my headphone, so I didn't even see you throw that message out there. So that's my bad, man. Okay, but if you do pop another message in, I'll make sure I note that shit. All right. So, okay, yeah. So Collective Shout had a problem with these rappers. Okay, Collective Shout has been targeting video games. It's clear that Collective Shout has a wide range of targets, from protesting rap artists like Tyler the Creator to opposing broadcasts of sports leagues like the X League. The group's targets have included many types of media. More recently, however, the group has gotten attention for its campaigns against video games. Collective Shout has already influenced the distribution of several titles in Australia, going back to the controversy surrounding Grand Theft Auto V. While the game wasn't officially banned, the group successfully pressured major retailers like Target and Kmart to remove it from their shelves. Beyond Grand Theft Auto V, Collective Shout has also voiced objections to other titles it deems harmful to women, including Detroit Become Human, a choice-based video game where players shape the story. Okay, interesting. However, Collective Shout's protest against games like Grand Theft Auto V and Detroit Become Human pale in comparison to their current efforts targeting digital game distribution. The group now appears to be pressuring payment processors like PayPal in an attempt to block sales of games they deem objectionable, affecting entire platforms in the process. Their campaign isn't limited to large outlets like Steam and is also targeting smaller distributors such as itch.io, which has become a focal point in the growing conflict between gamers and Collective Shout. Among other games singled out are No Mercy and Consume Me, which the group claims fall under the category of erotic video games. Platforms like Steam and itch.io have both cracked down on adult content due to Collective Shout's efforts, and many gamers have expressed disappointment at how quickly these platforms seem to concede. Yeah, that is a bummer. But I mean, that's the power of these payment processors, man, is when they come in and they fuck up your money, what choice do these people really have? They're running a business. And this is why, eventually this conversation might evolve into a much bigger conversation that needs to be had on how much power you payment processors have. Y'all wanted to become, this is what y'all wanted. You guys wanted to become the all-powerful, all-knowing fucking payment processors of the world. Okay, well, that's going to come with a certain amount of responsibility. And perhaps that responsibility is you have to play within the bounds of the laws that are set in every other country. Okay, you do not get to decide what happens outside of those laws. If people are making purchases within the laws that are set in every country, then you have to process those payments or get the fuck out of the country. Okay, do business elsewhere. I don't know why that should be a potentially controversial subject or topic. I don't know why that particular idea would be controversial. You are a private corporation, you still need to play within the bounds of our laws. By our laws, people can purchase this kind of content and you cannot stop them. Okay. So yes, we understand the concept of you can't be forced to participate in things that you don't want to, but at some point you are stopping people from, at least here in America, exercising a constitutional right, or exercising literally the first fucking amendment in our Constitution. So something needs to be done to regulate you. You cannot, your rules reflect our country's rules. And that's that. There you go, Razor. I saw that one. Sorry about your last messages. I didn't see those until much, much later. So I'm not sure what the whole... There are a lot of women who refuse just because they don't want to show their body. I'm not sure what that was in reference to, the last message. But, Did you know that in France, the hijab is banned in public places? This is discrimination, and they may reject girls because they don't want to give up religion. Yeah, see, well, exactly. Yeah, banning. I don't know what the hijab is. Is that the headdress, right? The headdress. Yeah. See, that's crazy. Banning a headdress in public and then wanting to force people to give up a religion. The headscarf. Okay, thank you. The headscarf. Yeah, that's fucked up. No, that's fucked. Like forcing people to forego their religion. Okay, is trash. That's no, not cool at all. Here in America, we have the freedom to religion, and nobody can tell you that you can't practice your religion. Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, if your religion is okay, I'm gonna go sacrifice a child. Obviously, these girls that you're talking about in France aren't doing that, right? But for the sake of argument, then yeah, here in America, we stop you. Okay, you can't do that. No religion gets to sacrifice children. But wearing a hijab, like, yeah, no, that's silly. That's craziness. And yeah, that's absolutely discrimination. It is 100%. Banning people from wearing any, I mean, it would be the same thing if you're banning people from wearing a crucifix. You know what I'm saying? If people aren't allowed to wear a crucifix in public, that's banning, that's discrimination. I don't know if it's necessarily discrimination in America. I guess it would fall under that the technical legal thing. I think it would be is you're violating a person's First Amendment right. Freedom to religion is included in the First Amendment. So, yeah, absolutely. That's trash. Total dog shit for whatever's going on in France there where they decided that was a correct thing to do that sucks. 100% it does, So, total shit. Censoring people, this is the same thing as censoring. Yeah, stopping people from living the life that they want to live, whether you agree with it or not. If it's not hurting anybody else, then it's dog shit. And wearing a hijab, as far as I'm aware, doesn't hurt anybody else. I don't know how it could, but it's dog shit to stop other people from being allowed to do that. It's 100% bullshit. Absolutely. So exact same thing that we're talking about here. Yeah. That's what it is, huh? Well, yeah, like, see, so it still doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't change the conversation for me. They, you know, sure, there is terrorists that wear hijabs. Yeah. Okay. There's people who have done very bad things that wore crucifixes over their necks. You see what I'm saying? And you can't ban people just because they're wearing a thing like the other guy. Like that's the whole thing. Like, well, Hitler ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You're eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You're a fucking Nazi. Like, no, dude. Yeah, okay, this bad person over here who is a terrorist wore a hijab. That doesn't mean everybody else who's wearing a hijab is a terrorist. As far as I'm aware, it doesn't mean that. I don't know a lot about hijabs, but I highly doubt that that's a thing that, every person in a hijab is a terrorist. Same thing, though, with crucifix or anything else. There's bad people in the world who have worn crucifixes. There's bad people in the world who have worn pentagrams. Just because you're walking around wearing a pentagram doesn't make you the person who's going to do something like that, right? And so, yeah, it's bullshit. Like, that might be their general perception, but then their perception is wrong. And I disagree with it 100%. It's discrimination, just like you said. 100%, dude. So, fuck that shit in any way that it happens. So, let's see. Okay, yeah. Among the games singled out, No Mercy, Consume Me, fall under the category of erotic video games. Platforms like Steam and itch.io have both cracked down on adult content due to Collective Shout's efforts, and many gamers have expressed disappointment at how quickly these platforms seem to concede. Again, I'm not sure what else they were supposed to do. There have also been reports that games that don't contain adult content are being removed from the platforms. Okay, and so how they're threatening games as we know it. How much more do we got here? A little bit. Let's read this a little bit, and then we'll get into some people that I want to introduce you to on X who are following this very closely and have a lot of information. We're far from going over complete information on just this one stream, but I will keep updating with more streams as the situation continues. But I do want to give you some other really awesome X accounts that you can follow if you're on X to keep up with this situation. So, Collective Shout's current actions against video games may be troubling, as are the seemingly quick concessions from online distributors and payment processors. However, this isn't the first time video games have faced threats of widespread bans. In the United States, the medium has long been scrutinized by both activists and politicians. It was under this pressure that Entertainment Software Rating Board was established, though even that failed to fully satisfy critics of the industry. Over the years, many figures have shown concern about the harmful effects of video games, even though studies have indicated that games can teach useful skills. Well, I mean, that doesn't have anything to do with anything. That's kind of dishonest. Yes, video games can teach useful skills, sure, but that doesn't mean that they can't teach bad skills. As far as I'm aware, which is just as far as I'm aware, there's a lot of information out there that I'm not aware of. So if you have other information, you can post it in the chat. All the studies I've seen is that video games can be harmful to children, and that's it. Okay, so there's a discussion to maybe have there. Okay, I don't know how realistic those studies are, how well those studies were, how well they were implemented, but that's the only thing that I've ever heard as far as that goes. Okay, yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah, no. I mean, it sounds like a double standard. I don't know what they got going on in France. I've never been to France, obviously. But if that's something that's happening up there, that's shitty. It is. And I mean, again, France is France. They're going to do what they do, and there's not much that I can say about it other than criticize it. Like what you're doing here, and if that's what's happening up there, then I 100% criticize it. That's trash. But, you know, thankfully here in America, I haven't seen anything like that. No hijab bans. And if there ever was, I sure as fuck wouldn't support one. You know, I want to support a crucifix ban. I want to support a ban on LGBTQ shirts or rainbow shirts or, I don't know, fucking nose rings or whatever, you know, or brightly colored hair, since that's kind of associated with a lot of like woke people. I wouldn't ban anything like that associated with any group of people. You know, a symbol is just a symbol, right? I wouldn't ban swastikas. You know, and I ain't no kind of fucking Nazi or nothing. All right. Like, I ain't got no problem with Jewish people or whatever, you know, but I got to clear my nose. You know, but I wouldn't ban swastikas either. You see what I'm saying? I wouldn't ban any of that kind of imagery. That's just a symbol, right? As a matter of fact, you want Nazis to wear a swastika, so you're aware that they're a Nazi, right? Like that's like kind of telling you, hey, you know, it's like a brightly colored poisonous bug, right? Stay away from that because it's gonna stab your ass. Like it's not good, you know. So it is what it is. But yeah. Anyways, let's see. Okay. One of the most notorious figures fighting to censor video games was Jack Thompson, a now disbarred Florida attorney who, much like Collective Shout, I don't give a fuck about this dude. Okay. That's that. That's against the video. This is going into just more. Okay. Valve and itch.io. Abrupt game bans have left many gamers concerned about what this might mean for video games. While the bans have only targeted adult games so far, Collective Shout has also pushed to remove other games from storefronts. If the group continues to be successful, its actions could have a lasting impact on the video game industry, and that is for certain. So let's talk about how to stop that from happening. So we'll get into this in a bit. At Mastercard saying, no, it wasn't us. We did nothing wrong. Oh, again, then we're going to, let's talk about this first before we hop into X. Okay. Back up 2 seconds. 1 million people claim GOG's freedom to buy games in protest of ongoing NSFW game censorship row. Let's read a little bit about this. Okay, this is a nice short one. So, over 1 million people have claimed their freebies in support of GOG's Freedom to Buy Games initiative. In a limited time campaign, the company is offering 13 NSFW games for free in protest after digital platforms like Steam and itch.io acknowledged a tightening of the rules around their NSFW content due to pressure from payment processors. On Friday, August 1st, GOG issued a statement saying, "We believe that if a game is legal and responsibly made, players should be able to enjoy it today and decades from now. It's our statement: when gamers are delisted today because of discomfort, reviving them tomorrow becomes exponentially harder." I believe that is very true. As a consequence, and thanks to the dedication of developers and publishers, GOG launched Freedom to Buy Games to raise awareness on censorship in games, offering explicit NSFW titles like Postal 2, Agony, and House Party up for free. 13 games are now available for free for 48 hours, yada, yada, yada. The response is so much beyond our expectation. Okay, so there's something I guess you can do. I thought I'd throw that out there. I read a little bit about GOG and wanted to add that to the conversation. So let's talk about some people who are following this very closely so you can learn a little bit more about this than what I have to show you. You know what I'm saying? Oh, no. Totally disagree. NSF content should definitely not be illegal. It should be illegal for kids, and kids should be monitored. I mean, that's the best. That's what it is. You know, if you're a parent, you need to control your kid. If you get caught giving it to kids, it should be illegal. We have a thing here in America where they have attempted like ID laws, so you can't get into um, websites that have pornographic material unless you give them an ID. And I think that's fair. A lot of people disagree with that, but I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. It stops kids from accessing it, which is perfectly fine. And I'm down with that. I don't want kids to go anywhere near pornography. It is very, there is studies, fuck the video game stuff. There is studies that I've read that I'm pretty sure were good studies. Look, I'm not Mr. fucking Science over here. Okay. I didn't go to college, to read studies, but there is studies that I've seen that look pretty goddamn legit that heavy pornography usage for children fucks up their brains really bad. And we don't want that. We don't want that for any kids. You know what I'm saying? So there's the thing is completely making shit illegal so kids can't see it is 0 to 100. It's one extreme or the other. Either kids all get to see it and it's all, or it's nothing and nobody gets to see it. And there's a whole middle ground right there. And that middle ground is where it needs to be, because adults have the right to decide what they're going to do, what they want to watch. And if adults, and again, there is much less studies that I've seen. There's studies that show, heavy usage of pornography for adult males can be bad. But the effects are reversible and it isn't comparative to kids doing it. Right. Kids is another thing. We do want to protect kids. But if an adult wants to go and be a pervert, then let him be a fucking pervert as long as he isn't affecting anybody else. Okay. If he's looking at porn until it fucks up, his willy and it doesn't work anymore, hey, look, that's your choice, bro. All right. Like, it sucks. It really does. But part of being an adult means that you don't need other people to step in and tell you to stop doing the thing that's bad for you. Being an adult means you understand what you are capable of monitoring and moderating your own activities. If you're not capable of it and you need the government to tell you what you can and can't do, that's not being an adult, that's being a child. You as an adult decide, okay, look, I know this thing is bad for me, so I'm not going to do it. Or I'm going to do less of it. See what I mean? You have to give people that room to grow. Otherwise, they don't grow into adults. They stay children. Mentally, it's what they can and can't do. I'm saying, oh, hold on. You sent 2 messages, so give me a second to read them. Yeah, they do. And it's always going to happen. You're never going to completely get rid of children who end up watching porn. You're not. And there's no system that is 100% going to result in no kids watching it. That's the truth. But you can always work better and make sure less and less kids are watching it. And that's not a reason to go just full Haas and nobody gets to watch it now, right? Not in my opinion, right? Yeah, sure. Well, no, sure. And phones make it very hard. The internet makes it very, very hard. It absolutely does. And again, like I said, there's no system that's going to be perfect, but that doesn't mean there isn't systems out there that'll work very good. And going 100% in the opposite direction of nobody gets to do it, again, now we're getting into the point where, okay, we are making legal material illegal, and that's going to immediately erode. Okay, in America, first we start with, okay, nobody gets to watch any porn. Okay, well then what's going to stop people from walking in and say, oh, okay, then nobody gets to wear a hijab. You see what I'm saying? People, once censorship starts, it just keeps going. And everybody wants in on it. Nobody wants to be the person that says, okay, wait, I'll let these other people do the thing that I don't like so long as I get to do what I like. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we have to do. Again, that's part of adulting in America, at least. Again, we can be talking past each other because you're in Saudi Arabia, I'm in America, two different countries. I don't know what the laws are in Saudi Arabia. You guys might have stricter laws. Okay. If NSFW stuff is illegal in Saudi Arabia because that's what the people of Saudi Arabia want, then that's what it is. And for the record, I'm fine with that, dude. Like, it's your guys' country. You get to decide what happens in your country, not fucking Americans. We don't decide what happens in Saudi Arabia, or at least we shouldn't, right? You know, there's a good conversation to be had there about the American government gallivanting around the whole fucking world, deciding who, you know, gets democracy and whatnot. And we can have that conversation on another day. I don't particularly like that idea neither, you know, but if Saudi Arabians decide, no, we don't like NSFW content in our country, so boop, it's out, then that's what the people decide. And the government should respect that and give them that's exactly what they want. However, though, here in America, we decided that freedom of artistic expression and speech is more important in our culture. And I do like that. That is closer to where I land on this issue, right? You see what I mean? Well, yeah, no, I mean, the thing is, it is definitely being taken seriously. You know, that's why these conversations are happening. I think if people weren't taking it seriously, they wouldn't be having the conversations. You know what I mean? The very fact that people want to have conversations about what we can do to help kids is evidence that people do take it very seriously. It could always be taken more seriously. There's always more people who could come in and say, hey, you know, there's people out there who don't take it seriously. That's very true. But you're not going to get everybody to take everything seriously. There's going to be some people, they don't take anything seriously. You know, even the shit that they should take seriously, they're not going to, you know. And so you can't convince people to take stuff seriously, but you can. I do think a lot of people are taking this issue seriously. When it comes to children in pornography, at least in America, it is an issue that is taken very seriously. You know what I mean? It's not allowed. Oh, like the in Saudi Arabia, it's not allowed to watch NSFW content. Well, there you go. Yeah, you know. So if that's the way Saudi Arabians want to do it, then that's their country and that's the way they want to do it, you know. And more power to Saudi Arabia or any country that decides that, you know. But the issue is specifically here. Ah, interesting. Okay, sure. Well, that's interesting. I didn't know that's how the law worked in Saudi Arabia. Well, and I mean, it's, you know, I guess I don't know, but if Saudi Arabians, let's just assume that everybody in Saudi Arabia is happy with that, then no reason to change it. You know, I don't think you guys should change it. You guys, this is your country. You know, if your people want that, then that's what the government should absolutely give them, you know. But the issue that we're having with like Mastercard and Collective Shout is Collective Shout lives in Australia and they're deciding what people in Japan and America and Saudi Arabia get to see. Okay, Mastercard and Visa are American companies, corporations, not governments, and they are deciding what people in Australia and Japan and Saudi Arabia get to see. And that is not something the Saudi Arabian people signed up for. A Saudi Arabian people should absolutely be, should not be okay with a activist group from Australia deciding what happens in their country. Okay, people in Saudi Arabia should not be okay with corporations from America deciding what happens in their country. They should have zero say in what happens in your country. The only people who should have a say on how your country is run is your people and then your government on behalf of your people. Okay, and any other corporation or activist group should be able to fuck right off. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, okay, barring exceptions. There's exceptions to everything. But for the most part, nah, they should fuck right off. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Saudi Arabia, it's legal. Well, yeah, there you go. In Saudi Arabia, it's legal. You know, but the thing is people in other countries deciding what's legal in other people's countries. And that's definitely not something I abide by. At least not, you know, Australia's collective. collective shout. And even honestly, I'm not okay with corporations in my own country deciding what we do in my country. You know, the people of America decide what happens in America, and then our government does that on our behalf, just like Saudi Arabia. Corporations do not get to tell Americans what they can and can't do. No way, no fucking how. They should never have that much power, you know, ever. So that's the bigger issue here is even if you agree with what it is that they're censoring, the fact that they're censoring shit in other people's countries and that these people are unelected officials that are doing it, those two things are massive things that I have a problem with. Okay, look, you and me can disagree on the NSFW stuff for certain. We come from two different cultures. We're going to have disagreements like that. You know what I'm saying? You've always been, you come into the chat though, and you're always super respectful. You've never ever been even remotely like hateful or a jerk or anything like that. And you and me have disagreed on things before. And for the record, I hope that I never come across as being disrespectful or a jerk neither. If I ever do, I hope you call me out and you tell me, Tony, you're a fucking asshole. Quit being a fucking asshole, right? Like, I hope you fucking tell me that for certain. But, you know, so we can disagree on cultural differences. Hey, that's what different cultures do. But that's kind of one of the beautiful things about being able to talk to other people from different cultures. That's kind of what's so fucking cool about guy in Australia coming over to my fucking stream to talk to me about it, is for us to look at these differences, you know, and of course we're not going to agree with everything, but where I think this situation spooks me more is unelected officials like major corporations getting to tell people what to do and then getting to tell people in other countries what they can and can't do. Those are two things that I absolutely cannot abide by, you know, and I hope that people like in Saudi Arabia don't either. I hope that the idea of an American corporation coming to your country and telling you what you get to do, I hope it pisses you off. You know, if that pisses you off, you know, then hell yeah, dude. This is where we have agreement. You see what I'm saying? So, oh wow, holy shit. Damn, that is pretty crazy. Geesh. Yeah, I mean, I heard that there is all kinds of shit in Australia. You know, I mean, Australia almost seems like it's always in trouble just because of like all the fucking animals there that'll kill the shit out of you. I know that's like a running joke, but fuck, dude. Like the sharks, the fucking snakes, the fucking big ass spider, dinner plate ass looking spider ass motherfuckers and shit. You know, kangaroos will done fuck you up. They got eels hiding in puddles just waiting to zap your ass. Australia always seems like it's in trouble, you know, but they manage to survive somehow down there. I guess they're used to it. It's just like all fun and games having everything wanting to kill you, except for koala bears. I don't think they try to kill you. I think those are pretty chill. So, but yeah, that's pretty crazy. I heard nothing about that. Because they work without rest. That's pretty fucking crazy. Geesh. Yeah, see, I had no idea that was a thing. Definitely did not. Yeah, I don't know too much about Australia other than it's home to this collective shout who is done fucking around with what everybody else is trying to do. And that I don't like. Okay, that might have that has nothing else to do with Australia, but I don't like this organization though. Okay, but whatever you're talking about that though, that sounds pretty fucked. That sounds pretty crazy. And you know, if that's happening, then fuck that shit too. You know, that sounds like that's essentially discrimination, right? There you go. Yeah. See, I like that. Absolutely. That's how it should be, dude. Absolutely. In Saudi Arabia, we have sole sovereignty over the decisions that are made. No country can come and impose this direction on us, and there are many statements from the government in Saudi Arabia about this. Well, that's fucking awesome, dude. That is so dope. Good for the Saudi Arabian government. Hell motherfucking yeah. That's what I like to see. That's how it should be, though. That's how it should be. That's their job. They do what you, the people, want, not what Mastercard and fucking Visa want. You see what I'm saying? Not what collective fucking shout in Australia wants. Fuck them. They do not get to have a say in what happens in Saudi Arabia. No other government should either. And yeah, that's exactly the way it should be. Absolutely. So I can't agree more. It sounds like Saudi Arabian government has their shit on lock, and that's dope. And so far in America, it seems we kind of got that, but the government needs to kind of step in and I think maybe bully MasterCard and Visa a little bit more into shutting them the fuck down and telling them that they also don't get to have control over what the public views, right? Corporations here in America don't get to tell the public what they can or can't see. You know what I'm saying? So, but good for Saudi Arabia, dude. That's fucking dope. I'm glad to hear that. I am. So, okay. This right here that I want to show you guys is Savvy, Madam Savvy, I think is her name. So this young lady, I don't actually know anything about her. I just actually just got on X like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So, I'm pretty new to this platform. As you can see here, I only got 15 people watching. So, pretty new to this, man. I think I got like 30 people that follow me altogether. But I've been following this young lady's account. She's got a massive fucking bone to pick with Collective Shout, man. I mean, she's like throwing down in the mud with these motherfuckers, and I'm all fucking here for it. Loving this shit. And if you are interested in getting more information, we're gonna hop over to this young lady's YouTube channel and watch some of the information that she has for us on Collective Shout. But this is a good X channel to follow. Okay, so make sure that you hop over on X and follow Madam Savvy, because we're right here. Regular updates. PayPal had begun debanking random creators who speak out. Dissent and be removed is coming. So far, my own account is untouched, but be wary if you use it. Do not store your money on it if possible. I have had many art friends go through this and lose access to money for 120 plus days. No one should lose access to this unless you're actually doing something law-breaking like assassination hires, or child trafficking, in which case the law should be notified. Making videos and talking about how poopy governments and payment processors are should not get you debanked. Of course, I imagine if PayPal fixes this, they will just claim, oopsies, I don't know how that happened. Woo-woo. I think that's how you... Woo-woo. Is that how you pronounce that? I don't know. But yeah, like that shit. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. PayPal should not be allowed to debank you because you decided to criticize something that they're doing. Fuck no. Absolutely not. Government needs to step in and stick a big old fat dick in PayPal's ass until they get the fucking hint, right? Another person that I is very useful for following this information, getting more information on this, is Smash JT, excuse me. Smash JT. This guy right here. What is he? Internet entertainer and retard. Oh, well, that's that's nice. I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, this guy also is heavily invested in this. He just made a whole video that we're about to watch here in a minute about Collective Shout and their whole crusade against video games. He has a personal vendetta with Collective Shout as well. Okay, so I believe... we'll look into it, but I believe one of them attempted to sue him. So that tends to piss a person off. You know what I'm saying? That tends to piss people off when you sue them, So that's they started it, they feel like he started it. But either way, the game is on, right? These guys are all throwing bows now. So Smash JT is another person that you're going to want to follow if you're looking for continuous information on what's happening with Visa, Mastercard, and the PayPal and Collective Shout, right? So those are two people that you definitely want to follow. And I'll give you a couple of more people here at the end of the stream that you can actually contact about this situation. But first, we're going to hop over here. I haven't watched this yet. I really like Penguin Zero. I think, what is this? Moist Critical, something Charlie. This guy's got like 15 fucking names. I don't know exactly what everybody calls him, but I swear to God, for like the first 3 years that they were around, I thought him and Asmongold were the same fucking person, at least very close to related. I thought it was like the same guy who had like 2 different rooms in his house that he streamed from. One was like super nice with all these really fancy ass gadgets behind him, and the other one was just like a fucking like attic with a bunch of like cockroaches and shit in it. But I thought it was like the same fucking guy for a long time. And then, as time went on, I realized that it's not. But anyways, I like this guy, Penguin Zero. Entertaining dude. Let's just hear what he has to say about this situation. So here, let's pop this over here. Okay, he's going to give us a rundown on the situation and give us his take on it.
You best start believing in ghost stories. You're in one. We're in one, like, together. Not just, like, specifically you. You yourself haven't been isolated and quarantined and being haunted. All of us in this together are being haunted by the ghost of censorship. But it's not a ghost, it's tangible, it's real, and it's happening all over the place right now. We're getting hit from all angles here like it's the Kama Sutra. It is a full-blown red alert, nipple-squeezing, ass-greasing censorship showdown, and it is flooding every possible aspect of the online space right now. The one I want to follow up on today...
I'll hit you up in the chat, Razor. I'm going to pull the chat up right now so I can chat with you while we watch the video.
Is one that I talked about a bit ago, with Collective Shout successfully using payment processors to bully Steam into removing hundreds of games that they deemed too disgusting to exist. They were really niche gooner games that were very low-hanging fruit and easy target, and then immediately piggybacking off that successful campaign used the same tactic to strong-arm itch.io into removing their content as well, except that extended to things well beyond just those really specific rape incest games that they targeted for Steam. It then extended to every adult game on the platform, and it is showing no signs of slowing down here as payment processors are now cosplaying as the moral arbiters that dictate what you can and cannot use your money on. It's a really bleak future. It is a terrible thing. And Mastercard is aware that it's a bad look for them as they've been inundated with tons of very rightfully angry and concerned customers and clients that are reaching out about how unacceptable it is that Mastercard would tell them what they are allowed and are not allowed to spend their money on. They should have no say in that matter at all. As long as they're not buying like actually illegal shit, which they were not, then there should be no issue here whatsoever.
Exactly.
So MasterCard has come out with a statement where they're trying so hard to like downplay it and look like their hands are clean in this, but it's just a blatant lie that Valve has already called them out on. So let's go ahead and look at the MasterCard statement, but I also want to make a mention. itch.io is actually relisting some of the free, not suitable for work content that was de-indexed as a result of this unholy alliance between Collective Shout and the payment processors, where they did the fucking Dragon Ball fusion dance and became every villain is Lemon's fucking evil. And once all of that content was removed, itch.io has now been trying to re-index the ones that are free, so that way it doesn't even go through the payment processor. So as long as the adult content is no payment, it can be listed again on itch.io here, and they're trying to find other processors to avoid putting the platform at risk. Stripe, however, has issued a statement to them saying Stripe is currently unable to support sexually explicit content due to restrictions placed on them by their banking partners. Despite card networks generally supporting adult content with the appropriate registrations,
passing the buck.
Stripe has indicated that they hope...
See, that's different than what we read earlier, right? Stripe seemed like they were all gung-ho to say, nah, fuck y'all, we're not going to let you do your porn shit. Now they're walking it back, right? Everybody is walking it back. Okay, MasterCard walking it back, Collective Shout walking it back. The reason these people are walking it back is because they know they're in the wrong. They know they're in the wrong. That's it. You are deciding what other grown-ass adults across the world get to do with their hard-earned money, and you don't get to do that. You know you're wrong. Otherwise, you wouldn't walk your shit back. You would stand firm in the ground, and you would say, yeah, I'm right, you're wrong, fuck you. That's what you would do.
Hope to be able to continue adult content in the future. So Stripe is putting the kibosh on it, but leaving the door open, like maybe down the line, when Collective Shout and others stop fucking, you know, getting them on the horn, yelling and squealing about whatever they want to make a hoopla on, then maybe they'll start supporting it again. But as of right now, it's not like it's improved in that area. Anyway, let's take a peek at what MasterCard had to say. Clarifying recent headlines on gaming content, MasterCard has not evaluated any game or required restrictions of any activity on game creator sites and platforms contrary to media reports and allegations. Our payment network follows standards based on the rule of law. Put simply, we allow all lawful purchases on our network. At the same time, we require merchants to have appropriate controls to ensure MasterCard cards cannot be used for unlawful purchases, including illegal adult content.
Imagine being able to build the tool you need just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
That is what we call a big load of barnacles. Valve already gave a statement to Kotaku. Well, a spokesperson for Valve did. which is probably the fastest I've ever seen Valve give a statement, to be honest. They immediately came out and said, wait a minute, nope, flag on the play. We're going to have to challenge this one here. This is ridiculous. Because it was Mastercard, like it was these payment processors. Like it did come from them. That was reported by Steam and itch.io. It like is an irrefutable fact. So anyway, Valve came out to once again say that that's exactly what happened. They said payment processors rejected Valve's current guidelines for moderating illegal content on Steam, citing Mastercard's Rule 5.12.7. Mastercard did not communicate with Valve directly despite our request to do so. Mastercard communicated with payment processors and their acquiring banks. Payment processors communicated this with Valve, and we replied by outlining Steam's policy since 2018 of attempting to distribute games that are legal for distribution. Payment processors rejected this and specifically cited Mastercard's Rule 5.12.7 and risk to the Mastercard brand. So that rule that they keep referencing states a merchant must not submit to its acquirer and a customer must not submit to the interchange system any transaction that is illegal or in the sole discretion of the corporation, may damage the goodwill of the corporation or reflect negatively on the marks. The sale of a product or service, including an image which is patently offensive and lacks serious artistic value, such as by way of example and not limitation, images of non-consensual sexual behavior, sexual exploitation of a minor, non-consensual mutilation of a person or body part, and bestiality, or any other material that the corporation deems unacceptable to sell in connection with a mark. Violations of Rule 5.12.7 can result.
This is the part that a lot of people have an issue with. Any other material that the corporation deems unacceptable. Okay, say all of this to say this, and it can be anything then. At this point, the corporation can say whatever we think is unacceptable, and you're not allowed to have it. Like Razor was talking about in the chat, banning people wearing hijabs. The corporation can come in and say, hey, we think hijabs are terrorists related, and it's unacceptable to put them in your video game. So any video game that has characters wearing hijab, oh, you're out of the store. See, with this sentence right here, the corporation has just officially made it so they can decide whatever the fuck they want is unacceptable and can do that at any time. That level of control over other people's companies, over other private companies, you know, because they ripped the whole payment process out from under these other smaller companies. That's why Sitch.io and Stream removed their games so fucking fast, because this is one of the main payment processing, three main payment processors in the world, right? The two biggest credit card companies in the world, Mastercard and Visa, and then PayPal. When these people decide we're not going to accept payments on your behalf, your company goes under. You're fucked. It's splat. You're done. Dead. Sorry. Was a burp. So that's what, you know, is going to happen to them if they don't play ball. And now, because of this sentence right here, this corporation can come in at any time and decide what is legal or illegal anytime. They don't have to give a fuck. And that kind of control over other people's lives and their livelihood and their freedom of speech and their freedom of artistic expression, no, fuck that. These are major corporations. They are money-grubbing corporations. They do not give a shit about any of this, okay? So get that thought out of your head. Mastercard does not give a fuck about the sexual exploitation of children, okay? Visa does not give a fuck about non-consensual sex. They don't give a fuck about protecting women. They give a fuck about money. That's the only reason they exist, is to give a fuck about money. They're corporations. That's what they care about, okay? They care about money. And power. In this case, power. The power to control all other companies to do what the fuck they want, because that's what they're setting themselves up to do. And no. Hands down, no. Fuck these fucking people. Fuck this fucking corporation. No, they can suck a fucking dick. Yeah. This is the issue right here. So that's the problem, right? Yeah, forcing your ideas on other people It's no different than enslaving people. Yeah, you know, essentially, I mean, yeah, absolutely. That's a good way to put it, actually. Yeah, it is. I mean, I think, it's certainly taking away their ability to decide for themselves what they like and, what they want from their own lives. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, you are not, major corporations do not exist to impose that kind of power. Yeah, absolutely. And it should be prevented. Hands down. Hands fucking down, bro. With you on that, Razor. Yeah, these fuckers need to be stopped. Because, yeah, this is the kind of shit that they can just up and decide to do. They can just decide, oh, anything with a hijab is a terrorist. Bloop. Out of your video games, out of your movies. And they should never be allowed to decide that. Never fucking ever. This sentence right here allows them to do that. And they hide it behind all this other shit, right? They say, well, if it has anything to do with sex with a minor, bestiality, and it's like, yeah, 99.9% of us don't want anything to do with that shit. We don't want nothing to do with that. We don't want sexual exploitation of minors and bestiality and none of this fucking shit, right? No, we're good. But then they follow it up with this little sneaky fucking sentence right here, which means, but we can also decide that at any point we can deem anything else unacceptable and shut all of your payment processing off at whim. And yeah, that gives them the power to do exactly that. And yeah, it should be controlled. You're 100% right, Razor. Absolutely. These fuckers need to be prevented. The abuse needs to be prevented. It's straight abuse of their power. So anyways, let's let Charlie continue.
Fines, audits, or companies being dropped by the payment processors. To put that into human language, it's basically saying Mastercard reserves the right to terminate business with a company that is selling illegal products or services or selling things that Mastercard deems potentially damaging to their brand. Really though, the purpose of having this baked in is so that way, even if a company isn't doing something illegal or selling something illegal, they can still have this rule here where if Mastercard just decides, we think that might be somewhat risky to our image. Thus, if it's not removed, we're leaving. They have that here. They have that ability to fall back on that. So in this case, Steam, they weren't doing anything illegal, at least not from any of the available information out there. But since Mastercard was told that
this is why I like this fucking guy, right? This is exactly what I said. Swear to God, he copies me.
But they need to take action by collective shout. They can then say, hey, if these aren't removed, we're leaving because this is damaging to our brand. We don't agree with this content. We will not support this. Thus, they can threaten to pull out from Steam and itch.io. And it's in their rules that they can do that for anything that vaguely could be construed as, damaging to their image. It doesn't have to be just illegal stuff.
Fuckers.
And MasterCard comes out and blatantly lies about it. Like, they tried so hard to, placate. It's unreal. Like, they immediately got called out on this lie. They were talking about how they were going to clarify misinformation around their involvement in this censoring and the removal of these games. And, trying to make it seem like they're blameless in this. But they are literally to blame. Them and Collective Shout working together. This tag team. It is blatantly misleading information MasterCard just puts out there, and I bet there are no repercussions for them as a company for it, even though it is just literally not true about how they weren't really involved in these games removals. Yes, they
bullshit.
were. Valve also confirms that. Valve tried to argue saying hey, this is all part of our moderating, policy that we've had since 2018. Replying with that information only to get met with a fucking wall where they said, nope, here's our rule and we're gonna terminate our agreement with you if it's not removed. It's silliness to then come out from them and try and pretend like they didn't do anything. Like everyone's just got the story all fucked up. I wonder if they're going to try and issue another statement. My gut tells me they won't. They're just going to let that simmer and sit and hope people forget about it. But hopefully that doesn't happen. I hope people continue to call these payment processors, voicing their concern and outrage over this. It's clearly working. The fact Mastercard made a statement at all shows that it is actually doing something. It is actually getting to them. Thus, it's effective. So that pressure should be kept up. for sure, because we do not want to encourage this kind of behavior where payment processors have this kind of power to just censor shit. They should have no say in the transactions you are making and what you are allowed to spend your own money on. It's just absurdity that it's getting to this level. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a follow-up on this. That's about it. So yeah.
Okay.
You read about the cursor hype on Twitter.
So, yeah, that's where he sits on the issue. I agree with him. You definitely, something needs to be done because you can't have that. We can't have that bullshit in the world. These fuckers deciding on behalf of everybody else what you get to see, don't get to see, what you get to spend your money on, not corporations. This is not what corporations are set up to do. Shouldn't be allowed to. Fuck them. This isn't their job. Their job is to just make money, and that's cool. They process payments. And look, if there's a legal thing here, because this is what I feel, I remember at some point, Mastercard, Visa have argued this at some point, that they could be held liable if people use their credit cards to purchase stuff that ends up being illegal. I don't know how true that is. I don't really believe major corporations when they say things, you know, and you probably shouldn't because they're major corporations. They're there to make money. And I'm not like Mr. like gung-ho socialism, capitalism is fucking shit. You know, no, that's not me. But I don't trust corporations, you know. And so, you know, it's a medium, right? I'm not like, oh, all capitalism bad, you know, but no. Corporations in general, you just don't make a practice of fucking trusting them. You know, they don't say shit. You know, it's like every corporation that puts a pride flag up during Pride Month on their website, the exact same corporations that put an American flag up during, you know, I don't know, fucking the 4th of July. None of these corporations give a shit about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about the flag that they're putting up, whatever flag it is. They just want your fucking money. That's it. Okay. And that's fine when they're making good quality products. Then that's fine. You know, just sell me your products, do your thing, like whatever, like pretend to be my friend. That's all great and well. But in this case, they're trying to prevent you from having access to the products that you want to purchase with your own money. They are exercising a certain amount of power that they should not be allowed to have. And when that begins happening, when MasterCard and Visa come out and they say things like, well, we could, you know, potentially be held liable. You know, if that's true, then maybe we need to have a conversation about how that rule in America needs to be changed. Okay, that's the conversation that should be had. Notice that's not the conversation that MasterCard and Visa are actually having, right? They're not lobbying to the government to prevent that from being a thing. You see what I'm saying? Because they're full of shit. In my opinion, I don't know how true it is, but I'm going to go on a limb knowing that I could potentially be wrong and maybe eat my own foot later on. But it sounds to me like they're full of fucking shit. They're just making that up because this is a power grab is what it essentially is. For more money, because that's what corporations want. Let's hop over to here. Let's see. I'm not sure which one of these that I want to hit first. And who is this? Oh, Vera Dark. That's right. She's been following it closely too. I need to get her on X because I've seen her around on there and she's a gamer. There she is. And I know she's following this closely. So anybody else too that you know, if you're watching this live or you're watching it on YouTube, I don't know why I'm trying to scroll up. Hit me up and let me know if you know of any other good YouTube channels or X channels, anybody that I can follow to keep me notified on this particular on this particular situation, because yeah, I want to keep following it. And here in a minute, I'm going to give you some people that we can talk to. Let's watch another video because we're already 2 hours and 17 minutes into the video. Let me give you a couple videos that'll have links in the YouTube. All of this will be linked in the description to the YouTube video for you to check out. But let's go ahead and yeah, let's watch Asmongold. Let's see his opinion on MasterCard. This is MasterCard walking everything back and saying, oopsie daisy, oh fuck, and giving you an idea of what people are doing to combat this. Okay, so let's see what he has to say about it, get his opinion on it.
And customers are getting hung up on as they try to figure out what's going on after tens of thousands of games have been removed from itch.io and Steam. These gamers are just trying to get answers, but nobody from Visa seems to have a clear explanation. In the
Yeah,
meantime,
they do. They just don't want to give it to you.
Mastercard has released an official statement for this issue. Both Steam and itch.io are facing a massive wave of censorship. On itch.io, the platform completely de-indexed all adult content from search and browse pages. This was a drastic move,
It's
which
insane.
itch.io confirmed they had to make to protect the platform's core payment infrastructure.
Yep.
But this isn't just an itch.io problem. Steam has also been quietly delisting games, even
They've been
after
fucking around with Japan on this for years. This is
Yeah,
something that the
that's where I've
creator
heard of this, is
Nier
Japan.
Automata, Yoko Taro, has talked about this for years. People didn't really pay attention or care that much because it was a localized issue and we're in an American, Western, English-speaking internet sphere, but it's been an issue for a bit.
the first initial ones. More games are getting removed from Steam, even some
Pregnant
with
Ogre?
very little adult content. The reason for
Yeah, I
all
see those
this
at
is
Walmart.
intense pressure from payment networks like Visa and Mastercard, or even other ones like PayPal and Stripe. Although some want to just blame Steam for
See,
removing
that's
these
another one real quick, is that PayPal also does this shit too. So everybody getting mad at Steam and at Visa and MasterCard, totally fair, but they do not have a monopoly on being full of shit. PayPal
Yeah.
also is full of shit.
Absolutely. Got to throw out
games.
PayPal
They
too.
essentially
Like,
had no
I do
choice.
notice
In a
that.
post,
You know, we'll get into some people that you can contact at Visa and Mastercard, and we'll look into some PayPal stuff too. We'll get some names out there, some people you can, you know, send messages to, probably not DMs, but comments to on Twitter and all these other, mostly on Twitter, and we'll get to that. But yeah, a lot of people aren't talking about the PayPal aspect of it because PayPal's been really quiet. They've really shut the fuck up about it because, again, they know this is not just incredibly unpopular, but it's wrong. What they're doing is wrong. They know it. They do.
collective shout made trying to celebrate, as they really only care about censoring as many things as possible. They specifically
Objectification of women is the problem, was the excuse. Why is objectifying women bad? I think it's great. Who decided it's bad?
mention how they tried to get Steam to listen to them for months, but obviously Valve never listened. So they had to take it a step further and complain to payment processors
That's right.
instead, which is where these
Fucking
companies
Karens.
like Visa and Mastercard were able to abuse their power and force
Yeah.
games to get removed. Now, itch.io is taking a two-part approach to this problem. The first is a long-term plan, finding new payment partners who are more accepting of a wider range of content. This is a crucial step for
Yeah,
the platform
and this
to
is-
become less dependent on
That's important. It's really important to get new payment processors in there. There is, let's hop over here. Nope, back over here. So, Smash JT just did a video on this. We're not going to be watching it on this stream. Go over to his YouTube channel, check it out. His YouTube channel will be linked in the description, along with Madam Savvy's, Veridark's, Avi Asman, and at least the videos for Asman and Moist Critical or Charlie or whatever, the dude with like 1,500 fucking names, Asmongold's older brother. And these, but Smash JT, I will link his channel in the description of the YouTube video so you can go watch this. But yeah, apparently Elon Musk is looking to create X payments. And I guarantee you, he ain't going to be playing this shit. At least not with the video game thing, okay? Say what you want about Elon Musk and what he may or may not be okay with, but this is an important thing to note. What MasterCard and Visa are doing, and they know this, they know they're doing this too, all right? They just don't think it matters. They're just so fucking hot on their own sauce, high on their own supply, that they don't think it matters. They don't care that they're doing it. But what they are doing is they are creating a hole in the market. For anybody who wants to come in and process payments and take payments for these online gaming stores. Okay, anybody that wants to come in and purchase these games from these online gaming stores and will work with these online gaming stores to make these games available to gamers once again. These gaming stores, it's more money for them. God damn it. These peanuts are getting stuck in my throat. Ugh. Excuse me. So that's more money for these online gaming stores, right? They don't want to lose out on the extra money from these or any other video games. Fucking Mastercard decides that they're just going to ban willy-nilly, right? So it behooves them to work with whoever can pop in and process their payments for them, okay? And for these other video games, and won't attempt to do exactly what Mastercard and PayPal and Visa are doing right now, right? So this creates a hole in the market that is eventually going to get filled. Visa and Mastercard and PayPal feel as though if they're voiding this space, nobody's going to jump in and try to take it from them. Nobody has the ability to do what they do. That's the only reason, because they know this. They know this is how an economy works. This is how a marketplace works. They know this. They are just so fucking big in their britches, excuse me, that they don't think it can happen. Somebody, and I think they're wrong. I think once they realize they're wrong, they've already denied doing any of this. Mastercard is already like, oh, it wasn't us. We're golly gosh, we don't know what the fuck is happening. You know, Visa has already done the game. PayPal's doing it. They're all playing the little fucking game, right? Well, eventually, they're going to realize that they've lost out on this market share. The entire online gaming store. And the online gaming stores, if they find, say, XPay ends up being better, they don't necessarily even have to be better. They're just willing to work with these online gaming stores. Look, the online gaming stores will say, fuck Mastercard, because we want somebody who's going to work with us, not somebody who's going to act like a fucking gangster and decide what kind of business we can do. You see what I'm saying? And that'll cut them right the fuck out. And when you see that happening, they're going to come crawling back like a bunch of little bitches, in my opinion. That's what I think. So that's exciting here. That's important to note, right? That there is people. Crypto is another thing. They're considering crypto. I think they're going to talk about it here in the video. I'll shut up. Let the video just play.
On the rules of a few powerful companies. While this
I think that you have to have regulation, and while a free market could solve this problem in the long term, it also doesn't account for... So there are things that companies with monopoly status do to exercise that control that transcends their reach of the scope of their business, such as lobbying and trying
I got
to
you,
advocate
Razor.
for
I'm going to hit you up in the
regulations
comments.
that effectively act as a barrier to entry to competitors that are trying to enter into the same market. So I don't think that there's like the idea of a free market, I think, is kind of an illusion. And I think in this circumstance, that's what's happening right now.
Fix the underlying issue
what
of
will
these
happen.
payment processors controlling what gets sold. It gives itch.io a fighting chance to bring back the removed content and continue supporting adult games. Itch.io has begun relisting some free adult games. This is a huge piece of the puzzle. Since these games don't require a payment processor, their return proves that the issue isn't with itch.io or Steam's rules, but with the financial companies themselves.
Of course it is.
Like we talked about in our last video, gamers aren't having any of it, and are now using the same tactics Collective Shout used to express their complaints to payment processors. Like
you have to use the Karen's ancient magic against them. You have to use it. I know it's blood magic, and it might not feel good, but you don't want to bring a knife to a gunfight. You're going to end up dead.
Visa and
Fight
Mastercard.
fire with fire.
I
That's
am
right.
actively seeing more reports of users calling these companies to complain, and this organized effort is having a visible effect on their customer service. Support staff are now clearly overwhelmed. I have seen a bunch of reports and stories from people who have said they called Visa and then would just get hung up on, which I 100% believe, because every time I've called Visa, I would get a similar response. It would start off great, but as soon as the customer service agent on the other end realized what I was talking about, whether it was because I mentioned Steam or video games or censorship, they would instantly speak over me, tell me to send an email, and then just hang up. Even if I didn't stop talking, they would just sigh and repeat the same response over and over. Another time, the Visa rep...
Yeah, they're not liking it. If they're not liking it, it means they're getting a lot of people calling, and that's what we need. It's working then.
Just reread the Visa...
I kind of want to call them and see, but I'm worried I would get in trouble. Like, that's the only reason I don't do it on stream right now. If it wasn't for that, I would do it on stream right this second.
Email we talked about in our previous video before hanging up like that was supposed
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. So, long story short, this is where the direction that the whole stream is going. I did want to show you guys a little bit more about that Madam Savvy because she is throwing down. We're watching Asmon in Penguin Zero, Moist Critical, the guy with 15 names, and it's great to see those two dudes talking about this because those are big fucking names, man. Those guys have huge followings, and if they're talking about it, a fuck ton of people are seeing it. And for the 5 people that watch this, that's what I want you to see, right? Is there's a lot of people who are behind this, okay? There's big names that are helping to pick up steam. Elon Musk now is discussing this or talking about using X payments to take that market share from Mastercard and Visa. There's a lot of interest in it. That doesn't mean, oh, good, well, it's going to resolve itself. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you're a gamer and you're interested in this situation and you want to see this situation resolved, keep up hope because you got big names now that are talking about it, and you got to stay with it and stick with it. And this is the primary means that you have of doing that, is contacting Visa and MasterCard. And as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and do that right now. And everything here will be in the description to the YouTube video. So we're just going to go to Visa customer support. This is all anybody's doing. You can call Visa, and let's go over to their website though. So you can call, email, chat, either or, super easy. Okay, all I did was send an email. Okay, I sent emails because, yeah, like this person, the video that Asmon is watching here, who is this? Asmon Goals reacts to...
Support lines are overwhelmed, and customers are
Water CS2. Oh, only 40,000 subscribers. Give that guy a subscribe and a like. Yeah, so this guy right here who made the original video, he's talking about people calling Visa, and the wait times are like 25-30 minutes before you get an answer back, before anybody will talk to you. If you don't have that kind of time because you're busy, you got a fucking job, whatever, you don't need to do that. Just send him an email. I sent him an email. Okay, I've sent them 2 emails, or one of them 2 emails. I forget, MasterCard, Visa, whatever. I don't have a MasterCard, I have a Visa. But, okay, I'll link this in the description of the YouTube video for anybody watching, so you can hit that up and make sure to contact these fuckheads. And MasterCard customer support right here. Let's go down. Boom. Same thing. You should be able to... Where is it? This isn't the same one I was on. I might have hit a different one. Yeah, there's the phone number you can call, but there is an email too. Email, there it is, right there. Email us. Okay, so I'll link this in the description below too. Send them an email if you're busy. Call them if you have the time. And when you call, send an email. We're going to hit up PayPal right now too. And then we're going to hit Swipe Up too, or Stripe, excuse me. When you hit them up, don't be a prick. Don't, like, oh, hey, you fucking cocksucker, taking away my video games, eat shit, you fucking motherfucker. Like, don't be a douche. The people who work here who are answering the phones, they're not making the decisions. You know what I'm saying? They're just people doing their jobs just like you. And there's no need to treat them like shit and make their lives like hell. So don't be mean to them and make it their problem. But just let them know, hey, I have an issue with your company deciding to censor video games, and I would like to make a complaint and discuss this with you. And the point is to just make it a fucking headache. That's it. And you're already making it a headache. You don't need to be mean. You don't need to be a jerk. Send them an email. Tell them what you feel about them. But you don't need to be an asshole. One more. Contact us. PayPal. I haven't actually done PayPal yet, so that's something we should do. Account profile, common issues, help center, contact customer support. Resolution Center. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, well, you got to log in, it looks like. But there's where you hit their customer support, Resolution Center, and call us. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, like Razor said right up here. I don't know when you sent that. Sorry, man. I just saw um your messages right there. But yeah, like you said, yeah. Of course, yeah, corporations being dickheads, but yeah, you don't need to blame someone who only works for them because they don't give directions. Exactly. 100%. Just like what Razor's saying up here, no reason to be a dick. You know, that's not going to make anything better on anybody to treat the people who work there like shit. Absolutely. No need to do that. But, and then what was this? Stripe? Is that Stripe payments? Yeah, Stripe customer support. So, yeah, 100% don't need to do that. All you need to do, and you don't even need to call anybody, you can just contact them. Okay. So, get support over Meow. And this is yada, 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 how to refund, all the other shit, contact, developer. Where is. Because I actually haven't done Stripe neither. I haven't sent anything to them. I don't have Stripe, so I've never had to handle disputes, how to refund a customer, contact sales. Well, I didn't. To be honest, it doesn't really matter who you contact. You can contact sales if you wanted, you know, just to say, you know, again, you're really just, there's sales right there, help and support. Yeah, I'll link this right here, and I'll be honest, you can do it on your own time. But this is your contact for both of them, which these are the big dogs, and then PayPal too, right here. And you can also, here, let's see what just the contact page has to say. It's the same thing. We're on the contact page. Okay, message them, Resolution Center, and you can call them. So there's that. Stripe. I'll leave that to you. And so here's a couple other people whose information I wanted to give to you. Okay. Got want shit in my nose. So this is some of the people in Collective Shout. Okay, Collective Shout. Secondary backup account of Collective Shout, official, not fake. We do the funnest, I don't know. If any of our owners deny this account, they're being sarcastic. Oh, this is great. So this looks like this is a parody account. Oh, that's too good. Oh, Geeks and Gamers. Yeah, I'm sure they're talking about this. That is hilarious. Give them a follow because that's just too funny. So this looks like a parody account of the actual Collective Shout because I'm pretty sure Collective Shout actually completely made their account private. Let's just look real quick. Let's pop back over here because they were not liking a lot of the messages that they were getting. And again, there's no reason to contact these people and act like shit. Anti-collective shout. Ooh, there you go. Hit these people up. Maybe. What just happened there? Follow for these fuckers. There's, yeah, see, collective shout. They're hiding. There's no reason to go to them and treat them like shit. Here's some people at Collective Shout. There's Melinda Tankard, right? We learned all about her today. Okay. So there's her. And I'll be linking her Twitter in the description to the YouTube video. Caitlin Roper, somebody else that works there as well. And there was somebody else too, but it appears that there it is, view all. Boycott Collective Shout. Ooh, nice. Give them a follow. There's Melinda Tankard. Suck my dick, Collective Shout. Fuck you, Collective Shout. These are all channels. Kill Collective Shout. Well, that's getting... okay, that's getting incense. It's all in good fun, though. But, yeah, Caitlin Roper. There's another person, you can, what I've been doing is I go in here and you can see, look at my notifications. So here's the thing. Okay. Caitlin Roper and Melinda Tankard don't go to their fucking ex and threaten them, threaten violence against them, threaten to hurt them, rape them, or their families, or any of this shit. Do not do that. Okay? Because one, they use that. They post it on X. Look at all these people saying this horrible shit. I'm the victim, not you. They're bullshit. It's bullshit. Don't give them that kind of fucking ammunition. Don't do that. Okay? Instead, what I've been doing, we'll pop back over here. Anytime any one of them link anything, like right here, here's a good one. Linda Cora, here's the other one. Here's the third lady. She thought she was sneaking away. I'll be linking all of these people's Twitters, their X's, in the description to the YouTube video. So Carolee Allison. Okay. So all of these people, they post something like, so here's a great example. Carolee Allison says, "This was shared with me this morning. What a lovely message to wake up to." And this is Kill Collective Shout, the channel, saying, "I want to kidnap," well, all that. I'll let you read that. Okay, it's a threat. She's threatening them. Okay, and Melinda comes in and says, "Exhibit A." Okay, and I come in and leave a comment that says, "Bullshit, Melinda. Exhibit A of what? What does this prove? That when you attempt to censor and choose what legal products other adults across the world get to see like an authoritarian and nutjob, and then lie your ass off about it, people fucking hate you? Well, if that's your point, you did a damn good job of proving it then. Perhaps there's a lesson here for somebody to learn. But cut your bullshit and stop trying to pretend that this is violence against women. It's legal speech against an authoritarian." Okay, so just leave a comment for him. You're full of shit. You're a liar. Don't play the victim. And like everybody else's comment, who's doing the same, right? I will repost their stuff. Here's another good example somewhere. Where did it go? Okay. So reposted a link to Caitlin Roper and her comment, a post that she made. So Caitlin Roper made a post, shut the comments off. I put up a whole, I'm not going to read it, but a whole long diatribe about it. Okay. Repost it. Argue against it in the comment sections. Let them know you're full of shit. We disagree with you. Same with Mr. Frank Cooper over here. This is CMO of Visa, and Jack Forrestel over here, Chief Product and Strategy Officer of at Visa. There's just a couple of people. Let's hit at Visa, and here's a good place for you to go. At Visa, and then you can literally run through these tweets, these X's, these X posts, and you'll see all these people, right? You'll see their names. You'll be able to click on them. Here you go to his channel. And if you go to his channel, 40 hours ago, we announced groundbreaking products. Let's just click and see what they, oh, wrong number thing. Get off my shit. Okay, let's just click. New products. It's him doing his thing. It's him doing the thing. Fascist company, plain and simple. You people are literal fascists breaking your own TOS. All the way down the line. Leave your comment. Tell them you're an authoritarian dickhead, Jack. Tell your company to stop censoring video games. You know what I'm saying? Just put the comment in there. Don't threaten him. I'm going to say it again. Do not threaten him. Do not threaten any of these people. Don't threaten Frank. Don't threaten Jack. Don't threaten Carolee and whoever. Don't threaten them, because it turns them into victims. Okay? Instead, share your peace with them. You're an asshole. You're a dickhead. Your face is goofy. I hate your goofy fucking face. All right? And you're an authoritarian prick. Stop being an authoritarian asshole, Carolee. All right? Don't be that. Don't be that guy. Okay? Don't be a fucking douche. Okay? And stop censoring other people's video games. Okay? And just leave your message and keep leaving it in. And in the meantime, keep contacting, sending emails or phone calls to these 4 corporations until they do something, right? Yeah. Big corporations are adopting a policy of saying things just to shut people up. Absolutely, they do. Well, they do that. Absolutely, yeah. That's how big corporations do it. Oh, no, sorry. You already sent those a long time ago. Blaming the person working with the company that makes bad decisions is not the right way to solve the issue in the first place. Absolutely, yeah. He was unnecessarily aggressive. Yeah, that absolutely. You're talking about the one that made the whole threat, right? Is what you're talking about? Sorry, I just saw your the one dude. Yeah. Unnecessarily aggressive. He was talking about like grinding him up and to fertilizer and shit. We don't need to be doing that. You don't need to, do that, right? No go. That's a no go. But just leave your peace. Tell them we're not going to stand for you deciding what our countries and the people in our countries get to do. You do not decide the laws for our countries. Our governments do. You are not the government. Okay. You are a corporation. You are a activist group. You do not have that kind of power. We're going to stop you. And that's it. All you got to do. Okay. So send him a couple X's here or there. You wake up in the morning, get your coffee. You're like, oh, I got a nice gym day coming up. Let me just text you. Fuck you, Frank. And then that's that. Give you a good start to your day. Just hop up here. Tell Jack, fuck your face. And tell your company to stop being a bunch of assholes. And then hit send. And that's all you got to do. Right. And then in the meantime, keep contacting these 4 companies. And again, just let them know, hey, I have a problem with you deciding what other people in other countries get to do and get to enjoy as far as their artistic expression and what kind of products they get to have. And again, be pleasant to the person you're talking to if you call. There's no reason to treat the person that you talk to like shit. That's another human being on the other end of the phone, and this is not their fault. Okay, so don't treat them like it is. Okay. And that does it. That actually does it for the stream. We're all close to about 3 hours here. I wanted to go over Vera Dark with you guys because she's got some really good updates. And I wanted to hit Smash JT because this dude has even more really good updates. And then the grand woman of it all, Madam Savvy, had some really good updates. And a song that she makes with every video, which I didn't know she did that. But I just discovered all 3 of these. Well, I knew who Vera Dark was. I've been following her for a while because she's a gamer and she's pretty chill. I just figured out who Madam Savvy and Smash JT are. But I'm going to leave a link to both their YouTube channels in the description below so you can check these videos out because they're constantly doing updates. I had 2 different JT videos up here because I couldn't decide which one I wanted to show you, and I ended up not getting to either of them, which is a bummer. But so yeah, and then I'll even link this Water CS2. Water CS2. Oh, that's a name. I'm going to link his channel, this video anyways, too. This was the video that Asmongold was watching. So I'll link that. And then I'll link to all of the X accounts that we covered today, too. And the articles we read. And then all of this right here will be linked in the description as well. So I'll put all that in the description to this video. But we are done for the day. That has been us going over some information related to this whole collective shout censorship fiasco, right? So I hope you learned a little bit of something, a little bit more up to date with what's going on with this situation. I learned a little bit. Hope you learned a bit. We learned a little bit together, and it was a good time. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Hope you enjoyed the stream. If you watched it live, please give the channel a like, subscribe, what have you. If you enjoyed the content, obviously. If you didn't, then maybe try again next time. Hopefully my content will be a little better next time you pop in. But if you're watching this on YouTube, then please give the video a like and subscribe too if you enjoyed it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, the fact that 100%, no, she making herself into a victim, like, absolutely. Here, we'll go back to it. So we'll go back to it and I think people, yeah, I got the chat on the screen now. I just added that. So let's see here. Let me get into my notifications. And was it this? Yeah. Okay. So this was shared with me this morning. What a lovely message to wake up to. Want to kidnap every single memory, yada yada yada. It says a whole bunch of awful stuff. And doesn't the fact that he was unnecessarily aggressive mean that the comment was true? I'm assuming you either mean like this comment or Melinda's comment, Exhibit A. Yeah. When people come in and they're talking, look at, again, don't really want to say it out loud, but mixing them with poop to make fertilizer. Okay, like, fine, your edgy humor, but you are being absolutely unnecessarily violent and threatening, 100%. And granted, he didn't say, this person's in Japan, so I don't have no idea what the laws are in Japan, but in America, technically, this is freedom of speech because he doesn't say, I'm going to. He says, I want to. Whoever he or she is, they're saying, I want to do this thing, which technically is legal. You can say, oh, I want to punch your face. You can't say, I'm going to find you and punch your face. That's when you're threatening, right? But this is still unnecessarily violent. And this is exactly why you shouldn't be sending these kinds of messages. Because when these people, Carol Lee or Melinda, come in and say, you know what? They're harassing us. This is harassment. I mean, it's very harassing. It's very shitty. It isn't a nice message to wake up to. And that feels like shit. That probably feels like shit to have somebody type this out to you, right? And when they say, oh, this means that all gamers are violent people and this, that, and that, and that isn't entirely true. But they are going to use this to say, look at how we're getting victimized, okay? And they're using that to shut down the conversation. And that's what you don't want, okay? But yes, they're correct. When people are sending them constant shit like this, they are victimizing them. And you don't want that, okay? Because we don't want the conversation to get shut down, Right? That's pretty crazy. Yeah, he went all the fuck out. I think in this person's mind, they thought this was funny, is what it is. They were going for edgy humor. And, it's really should have thought that one out. Yeah, really should have thought that one out. Because, of course, Carol Lee is going to repost this and say, look at how I'm getting victimized. Like you said, this is the perfect opportunity for them to say that because it's true. You're saying some god-awful shit to them, You don't need to do that. No need to do that. Everybody out there who watch this, don't send this kind of message, okay? Take a page out of me and Razor's book over here. No reason to talk to people like this. Just tell them how you feel. Don't tell them you want to mix them with poop and turn them into fertilizer. So there's no reason to do that, okay? It might sound funny in your head, but when it gets reposted out on Twitter, it's going to make you look bad. And it's going to be used to make everybody else on your side of the argument look bad, okay? So tact, ladies and gentlemen, tact. That's what you need to learn. But that does it for me tonight. I'm probably going to head out and get some food. I got some chili that I'm going to eat upstairs. Ooh, I'm excited for my chili. So yeah, I'm bulking, so I need to go get some food fast. Eating these peanuts hasn't been cutting it, baby. So I'm out of here. I'm going to go get some food, take a break. The next time I will be streaming is Friday. And let's see, that's Film Buff Fridays. And we will be doing deep dive into sound for film. So we'll be talking about diegetic and non-diegetic sounds for film and for the purposes of film theory, analyzing sound in movies for the sake of, what's the word that I'm looking for? For the sake of critiquing the movies. There. For the sake of film theory. So if you're interested in film theory and you like that kind of stuff, then tune in Friday, 7 p.m. roughly. That's what we'll be talking about. So to everybody who hung out live, Razor, for hanging out live, thank you, man. I really appreciate you popping in, and chatting with me throughout the stream. It's always been a good time, as always. And I know my cutie pie hopped in for a while, but she had to go to bed because she's got to wake up early from work tomorrow. So, but still, cutie pie, thank you for tuning in. And to anybody else who tuned in live on Rumble, X, Kick, Twitch, wherever you were at, thanks for hopping in and chilling with me and watching the stream. I hope you enjoyed it. Same with if you watch this video on YouTube. If you check this video out on YouTube, thanks for tuning in. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned something from it. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out all the extra videos that I have. I got like 4 months worth of videos all stocked up in my playlists. So if you enjoy these kind of videos, go check out that playlist. But until then, Razor, I will see you Friday. And if not Friday, then I'll see you next week. I know Mondays, Wednesdays are usually good days for you. So if not Friday, then I'll see you again Monday. You have a good night, the rest of your night at work. And have a good day tomorrow at work too, since I won't see you. And I will see you Friday. Thanks again for hanging out, man. Yep, I'll see you later, man. I appreciate you hanging out as always. And anybody else who hung out tonight, thank you. And yeah, everybody have a wonderful rest of your night, and I will talk to you then. Peace.